Gather round, we got no gods to please. Saturday night, no sermons, just ease. Discussions flow like midnight breeze. No prophets here, just minds to tease. We talk big bangs and evolution. Question faith with our solution. Stars align in our confusion. Breaking free from old illusion. Join the fun, no need for trust. Dust to dust, we're stardust. No heaven high or hell to fear. Saturday night, we hold it dear. Fun and laugh at myth believers. Here we're all truth seekers. Open hearts and swift deceivers. Make a stand, no hidden levers. Raise your glass to reason's thrill. No ancient text, it's our own will. Debate till dawn, feel dull and chill. Saturday night, we've got the skill. Echoes of a godless choir. Like the world was fought the fire. Free our mindset to inspire. No holy walls to take us higher. Join the fun, no need for trust. Dust to dust, we're stardust. No heaven high or hell to fear. Saturday night, we hold it dear. Join the fun, no need for trust. Dust to dust, we're stardust. No heaven high or hell to fear. Saturday night, we hold it dear. Join the fun, no need for trust. Dust to dust, we're stardust. No heaven high or hell to fear. Saturday night, we hold it dear. Fun and laugh at myth believers. Here we're all truth seekers.
Greetings. Welcome to the Captive Desk with another Saturday night at the Atheists. And we
Hey.
seem to have dropped an atheist here.
We did.
But
Old Grump is here.
Old Grump is here. Hello, Mike. Hello, Scott. How you doing? Both these gentlemen you may know from Answers in Atheism, and if you don't, you better find out quick. Go down to the description and subscribe. And while you're there, you'll find a whole lot of other links. And Mike wasn't with us last week, right?
Nope. I was out to
Yeah,
dinner.
I think you missed this, so we're gonna play this just for you, Mike.
Okay.
No such thing as an atheist. You guys do not exist. Hey, Answers in Atheism, and that desktop idiot, and that desktop idiot, and that desktop idiot. You're full. See here, dead flies. Dead flies. Millions and billions of years ago, in a galaxy far, far away, something exploded. Dead flies. You call me crazy. Pain of thy destruction. Wait a minute, am I reading the right thing? And you know what, atheist? Right. And you know what, atheist? Right. And you know what, atheist? Right. Oh, you atheist, it's especially that one desktop idiot. Self-theist, and of thy destruction. Wait a minute, am I reading the right thing? On you. That's what I say. You know, hey, have a great time. Hey, there, Answers in Atheism or Atheist, whatever you were. Up. Oh, you atheist, especially that one desktop idiot. And you know what? They're atheists. You're right. Unless the Lord Jesus Christ saves you, you are going to go to hell and burn forever.
Holy shit. Holy shit. He kind of scares me a little bit.
That's our fan out there.
Oh my God.
And
I don't want to sit on the same bus bench as him.
Oh my God. Can you imagine getting stuck on
wow.
a plane with him, man?
Wow. Yeah, that would be tough. And
fucking jump out.
And I wanted to mention I'm wearing my Hive size shirt tonight. Links in the description. Want yourself a Bigfoot shirt, Mothman shirt. Bree's got a couple others there. Go to the Hive side link and get yourself a great t-shirt and help Bree out. Okay? And while you're in there, down at the bottom, subscribe to my channel. Thomas, yes, I'm close to 500 subs. You can help that. You can help make that happen, all right? So hit that subscribe button and go down in the description and you'll find links for everybody's channels that we have here tonight or often have here tonight, as well as links to Breeze merch, Kentucky Atheist, the Kentucky Atheist merch, and the Kentucky Atheist is also has an affiliate. There's a discount code down there too, so make sure you check out the discount code if you want anything from the smoke shop. And hello, James.
Hey there,
James Apperson.
Yeah. Well, thank you very much.
I was just telling everybody to check out everything in the description, including getting yourself a shirt like this cool, awesome T-shirt I got on.
It is nice.
From Breeze Hiveside. And of course, I got the Bigfoot one, but she's got other ones there too.
Nice.
And yeah, if you're looking for a new T-shirt, anyway, go over and get one from Bree, all right?
Mm-hmm.
And hello, everybody, Nerdy in the chat, and Chris, and the Trusty Ape, and yeah, Thomas, as I already mentioned. And we got Ryan joining us, bunch of great folks coming in. And what was the other thing? Oh, and we just played our fan video there. And while we're at it, we got one more here we're going to show for the upcoming fundraiser. As you see, that's the 19th, coming up in a couple of weeks. They're having fundraiser, and I'm sure they'll have all kind of updated information, including Joe has a link out for anybody that was asking about accommodations. There is a link over there now where they have an arrangements with somewhere where they got a block of rooms. You get a better price if you go there. You can find out that information over there with the Kentucky Atheist. All right. And for those that don't know, they're having the ARC protest this summer, July 6th, at the Kentucky ARC that Ken Ham and his folks down there have with the dinosaurs in the cages and everything. He also is big into homeschooling and all kind of other things that deserve protest. So there's going to be a protest this year. And again, you can find out all that information through the Kentucky Atheist. Links are in the description.
And if the protest succeeds, we're going to tear that ark apart and make a big bonfire.
Bring your marshmallows.
Can you imagine? That would be great.
Roast it like a Tesla.
Yeah. Shit.
So yeah, all that great stuff going on. A lot of great folks are getting involved, and a lot of groups are getting involved, and hopefully, yeah, it's going to go off well and be a big hit. So, and with that, we're gonna take a look at video tonight. Well, usually I've got multiple ones. Depends how many we get through. But I got a video from Todd here, and according to Facebook, Todd's last name is Wiener. So that's got to be rough. I thought my last name got made fun of just because it rhymes with the certain words. But yeah. But
so supernatural atheism, eh?
Yeah, that's, again, they catch my eye, Mike, right? I'm looking around for these things, and I mean, look at the shirt I got on. The title of this is Supernatural Atheism. How can I pass up taking a look at this video, right?
So he's got 4,000 subscribers, and he had 34 views on this video?
I've spoken with people before about some of these things. I was just checking out live streams, right? And I noticed somebody had a 9,000 subscriber celebration stream, right?
Yeah.
And I was like, oh, well, I'll check this out. It wasn't a channel that I usually look at or anything. So I clicked over on there. There was 2 people watching.
Yeah.
And this girl was sitting there crocheting. So, yeah.
Good times.
Okay, that's what it takes. We're trying too dang hard. That's what it is. We really
You start a new channel, Crocheting with the Stars.
Yeah. Speaking of Bree, again, get your shirts at the Hive Sci. Bree was covering orbs one day. Y'all know what orbs are? That's those little specks that show up in your photographs or your videos.
Oh, yeah.
Usually from, if it's flash photography, it's often dust or a bug flying around.
Yeah.
Or somebody with a bubble wand.
Or a bubble wand. And with security cameras, and I've noticed this, especially at night, they have their own night vision. If you have security cameras at your house, you probably know this, right? It switches over when it gets dark, right? And you see all the little things fluttering around and everything. It picks up everything. And the one night we had a deer out in the front yard eating my wife's flowers. And it looked like a ghostly dog or something out there. It was really weird in the night vision. I didn't know what it was at first, because I'm thinking, we're in the city here. I don't really think deer, So I'm thinking, man, that's the biggest ghost dog I ever saw. So anyway, she was covering this stuff, and there was a channel, and they have thousands and thousands of subscribers, just covering orbs, and it's mostly their night vision security cameras that every little white thing kind of fluoresces in that thing, And sometimes during the day it's pretty wild too. There's something the bees like, and if you want to get freaked out about what it would be like to be attacked by like a giant bee, look at your security camera when the bee's climbing on it, and it's like, whoa. But yeah, they're just basically running their night cameras that are picking up all these tiny little things float around. And I've noticed before, spiders are good at dangling off their web, right? And they kind of move around, and it looks like an orb bouncing around, but it's a spider, right? But
Magical spider.
Yeah, this channel's got, I don't know how, it was thousands or whatever it was. And I was just like, I was disheartened. I was like, wow. Okay, you just run your night vision, you get thousands of subscribers. So
And supernatural spiders. We also got
supernatural spiders.
a Tory Swasinger, Swansinger. I don't know. Tory's in here. Isn't he?
Tori's there.
Sponsor.
Tori's here,
Swansinger.
and
There we go.
Michael's rolling in. Hello, Michael.
Hello, Michael.
So let's pull this up and have a look and see what Mr. Todd has to say.
Low-key, quiet.
Welcome everyone to Mission Millennial Z Alpha Generations.
Millennial Alpha Z Generations. All
Look,
right.
I'm Generation X. I don't think I have his permission to watch this.
I don't know if he's trying really, really hard to reach the youth, trying to be like really hip, or he's just that big of a nerd, and that's what he named his channel. So
Me
That's why
boomer.
Jesus Christ is my whatever that word is.
what'd you say, Mike?
Me boomer.
Me boomer?
Me boomer. Yeah.
Where we connect today's youth with the other side of the creation story. Now today I'm
Yeah, and this is what he does. It's the other side.
The other side.
And of course, the first thing that always comes to mind is, are we supposed to teach alchemy along with chemistry and etc., astrology along with astronomy?
Want to be open-minded.
Yeah, the other side thing, immediately when this video just starts, it's like, okay, I know exactly where he's coming from, right?
just simply going to be reviewing a post I made on Facebook, my Facebook group today. It's also, my group name is also Mission Millennial Z Alpha Generations. And we're going to review this. And if you have any comments or questions you have on this topic that I'm going to be reviewing, I reposted a post from a man named Franz Hessing. And we'll see what he has to say here shortly. So if you have any comments or questions, feel free to make them either on our YouTube channel or on our Facebook group, both named Mission Millennial Z Alpha Generations. So let's get into it.
He is good at plugging it. He throws that in a lot.
Mission, what who the hell's going to type all that in there?
Z generational or something. Yeah.
Mission Alpha Z? Oh my God. Shorten that shit up.
This is the post from Friends. I'm not sure if I'm getting that correctly. Franz Hessing. Here's his post, and here's my introductory comment. And I'll throw this in here as a way of introduction to this whole issue that's being challenged here by a friend of mine named Chris. Another great post from Franz Hessing. He makes a point that is lost to many, that basically it's the atheists who try to have it both ways. On one hand, they say science has disproven God's existence, therefore everything has or will have a naturalistic explanation. Then on the other hand, they go beyond the current laws of nature to explain the origin of the universe and life. Look at now this is what Chris says, look at the field of straw man, and this is my response.
And I had made up the thumbnail of a field of straw men, and I made it up before I watched this video, okay?
Yeah.
And then this guy comments on Facebook, the field of straw men, and I'm like, oh, there's a like-minded individual.
I like how he's straw manning our straw men. That's meta right there.
Response to him. A straw man argument is when you refute a misrepresentation, often on purpose, by the way, but not necessarily, refute a misrepresentation of your opponent's position. Everything Friends states sounds fairly standard stuff for naturalists. Be curious to find out what you think is the gross misrepresentation here. All right, so let's look at Friends' our good friends his post, which I reposted. Naturalism is the belief that existence of the universe can be explained solely through some sort of evolutionary process, rather than a supernatural origin. Naturalism, and by implication atheism,
Yeah, there it is.
Yeah.
We didn't take very long, okay? Naturalism implies atheism. No. Okay, it can. This is something that gets brought up. As an atheist, is it that you just do not believe in God, or are you also rejecting all supernatural claims, which would include other deities, the leprechaun at the end of the rainbow,
Magic.
Yeah, there's a long list,
Yeah.
Yeah, you could also be a theist and be a naturalist.
And there's atheists that also lean towards a lot of spiritual things, right? So I don't know. It can be, but it just kind of saying, "Oh, if you're a naturalist, you're an atheist." And it's like, "Oh no, it's."
necessarily contradicts themselves. One cannot be a naturalist and not contradict himself. How so? He goes on to say, if one is a naturalist, he must believe the universe is an effect with no cause. The evidence from nature, however, is that all material effects must have a cause.
Oh,
Here we go again.
Leo says naturalism does generally imply atheism from a metaphysical standpoint. Naturalism is given as contrary to theism. Well, for the creation of stuff and everything, I would agree.
I don't
On
think
the other hand,
Go ahead.
everyone is a naturalist. Everyone lives according to naturalism. When you get up in the morning and you feed yourself and you go to work and you drive your car and you open your garage door, you are a naturalist. So there you go. The only thing you don't do is sit there and say, oh, everything is natural. You don't have to do that. You're not obligated to do that. And if you're an atheist and you just don't believe in God, you are not obligated to say anything else other than, I don't believe in God. You don't have to come up with a worldview. I mean, this is all bullshit.
Now
Go ahead, James.
Oh, I was going to say that I understand that in the circles that Leo runs in, that this is the talking point. This is how things are framed. But I keep thinking about Dr. Francesca Stavrakopoulos' book, God and Anatomy, and her position, which is not fringe, is that the concept of gods, anciently, at least within that part of the world at the time, was a very physical thing, physical entities with physical breath giving physical life. And, this idea of supernaturalism, which isn't even an idea, wasn't part of their structure of ideas at the time. It's nonsense that developed later. So, right now, commonly have a conversation with a theist, they're on that supernatural trip right there. Yeah. But it is absolutely possible to believe in a God, and appeal to naturalism and not supernaturalism. I think that there's more overlap there in different ways of thinking about God.
And we do have a word for the specific thing of not believing in God. So it can be related to a lot of things, especially this guy, Todd, is a creationist, and they love to associate everything in science to atheists, to just taint the well or poison the well, right?
Yeah.
Cosmological argument has as a premise everything that begins to exist must have a cause. And of course, all material things begin to exist. And that's just the guy's point here. And I don't think that's a misrepresentation of atheists. They often say the universe came into existence out of nothing, uncaused, ex nihilo, out of nothing, uncaused. They use that phrase quite often.
No, we don't. We've had a big disagreement about this, and ex nihilo is used by religious groups a lot, not atheist groups.
I've yet to meet an atheist who thinks that the universe popped into existence from nothing or ex nihilo.
Right. Deconverted Man did a little survey on that, and apparently there aren't any of us that came forward that believe that. So I don't know what he's talking about. So I'm trying to find where is he getting this from? This what is that name at the top there?
This is his Facebook thing, I believe.
Yeah, but it's kind of hard to find that particular post that he's talking about. He's talking about somebody else, right, that wrote this?
Yeah,
I hate to be pedantic, but
I don't know if he shows.
Okay, when was this was a year ago, so it's going to be way back there.
Yeah.
Okay. Let me take a look.
If one is a naturalist, he must believe the universe is an effect with no cause. Everything Friends states sounds fairly, and by implication, atheism necessarily contradicts themselves. One cannot be a naturalist and not contradict himself. How so? He goes on to say, if one is a naturalist, he must believe the universe is an effect with no cause. The evidence from nature, however, is that all material effects must have a cause. Now, the cosmological argument has as a premise everything that begins to exist must have a cause. And of course, all material things begin to exist. And that's just the guy's point here. And I don't think that's a misrepresentation of atheists. They often...
Well, it is, again, because it doesn't mean you have to even know what any of this stuff is to be an atheist, right?
No, you don't. And I have problems with it anyways. You know, when they say everything that begins to exist has a cause, they're intentionally omitting the word physical in there, right? We look around at our physical world and notice that everything physical that begins to exist or that begins to happen, begins to materialize, etc., has a physical cause, right? They leave that clarifier out of there because they're going to sneak in supernatural to the proposition. You know, it's not reasonable to say, well, since we look around at the world and say everything that's physical has a physical cause, therefore magic, right? Because the world doesn't teach us, therefore, magic. That's why they leave out the word physical, because they don't want you to notice that they're playing this little trick with the semantics.
The universe came into existence out of nothing, uncaused. Ex nihilo, out of nothing, uncaused. They use that phrase quite often. All right, let's move on. If one is a naturalist, he must believe the rules, laws that govern the universe wrote themselves. The evidence from nature, however, is that laws do not create themselves.
Yeah, because the universe is a book.
Yeah. Well, and where do they exist, right? Do they have an address? Are they in a file box somewhere, right? Oh, I got a big jet going overhead. Sorry about that. Wow. Hello, Robin. Good to see you.
That's my private jet, Dave.
Yeah, and if I didn't say hello, hello, Leo. Yeah, that's you buzzing me, James.
I just buzzed you. That's what I did.
Yeah, they were low. That's for sure. I sounded like I was outside.
Probably at war with Canada.
Yeah.
So usually I notice them on Wednesday and Saturday. So I think those are the days when they're out there because we've got Air Guard out here at the airport. So they have to get in their fly time. So they buzz around the city a couple times and get their time in.
If one is a naturalist, he must believe that matter and energy could either create themselves or exist forever. The evidence from nature, however, is that matter and energy could not create itself. First law of thermodynamics.
He's slipping energy in here.
What the?
Well, matter, energy, yeah, but see that right there is a problem for creationists when you cite the first law that says it cannot be created, right? That's kind of a big problem. I would avoid that one.
Nor could it exist forever. Second law of thermodynamics. All right.
Well, yes and no. Does usable energy mean there won't be any matter at some point, Mike?
I don't know.
I think what it means is it won't be usable for doing work or for making effects or whatever, because it's all equally spread out into the universe and unavailable to do anything.
So entropic. I think Leo wants to join.
So I mean, wait a minute. Doesn't he think that everything was created from nothing? That there was nothing that caused the thing other than God?
Yeah, right.
Yeah, so,
right.
But I mean, and God isn't physical, so if the evidence from nature is that nothing is created without a cause, then how in the hell does he explain his idea for creation, right? Mm-hmm. There's no evidence for it, is what he's saying? I agree with that.
Leo, I dropped you a link in a DM on Facebook there. Yeah, so it's a big contradiction. It's, he's citing ex nihilo, which is, it's not a universal thing, but a lot of religious folks do use ex nihilo. And then this thing too with citing the first law, which says you can't create energy. Well, that's, you're shooting yourself in the foot a little bit there, guy, right? This is not a good argument for you that I see.
Let's open this up so we can read the whole thing. If one is a naturalist, he must believe that at some point or points in the past, non-living matter gave rise to living matter. Life came from non-life. The evidence from nature, however, is that life only comes from life.
Mike, didn't you just talk about this earlier?
Yep. We were talking about that earlier.
Life can't come from non-life. What I always cite is, though, isn't everything, including life, made out of things that you were showing on that periodic table earlier?
Yep.
And is anything on that periodic table what you would call alive?
No. No.
Individually, none of those elements are alive, right?
Yeah. Yep.
But when they come together, you can get life, right?
When we have life, yeah.
So it comes from non-life.
And if you go back, you go from one cell to another backward in time and you project it all the way back, eventually you're going to get to the point where there's not really a cell, but there's something else. And you're never going to be able to put a point on that line and say, this is where life started. There is no such point. It's one of those gradients. Like if you take yellow and red and you kind of blend them together, tell me where red starts, basically. Right. And that's what they keep missing. So,
hello, Leo. Welcome.
I'm trying to find this
Hi,
post.
Can you guys hear me all right?
Yeah. Well, you're a little distant.
A little distant.
You look a little different.
Different? Oh, yeah. Yeah.
What's happening?
I don't live at the same place anymore.
Huh. I mean, no, you actually look different. Like,
I think feel different.
Oh, you look different though. You should feel different. If you don't feel any, that's really sad, Leo.
No.
You've lived all this, all these days, and you don't feel any different. Huh. Anyway, I don't think do you have a mustache now?
I do, yes.
Did you before?
No. Well, I've had it for not quite a year.
Okay, there you go. That's it. You confuse me. I get confused real easy. I'm pretty old.
All right, let's finish reading this. If one is a naturalist, he must believe that one kind of creature can morph into or give birth to a totally different kind of creature over time.
No. A totally different kind of creature.
morph into a totally different kind. Well, yeah.
You can be a theist and believe in evolution, which is what he's trying to knock.
Yeah.
Or even believe in abiogenesis, which is just chemistry.
Yep. There again, you can't put a point on that line where one species turns into another. There's no such thing. So,
hello, Sydney. How you doing?
Macroevolution occurred. The evidence from nature, however, is that life produced according to its kind, not according to another kind. Again, I'd like to see if Chris or anyone else can give an exception to this. If this,
well, science doesn't use kind, so.
well, I can get you a picture of my daddy, and you can tell that we do not look identical. So,
well, they float kind from family down to species to suit their different arguments, but it's a pretty vague term. And go ahead.
Using kind in biology would be like using earth, water, fire, and air as the 4 elements and just completely ignoring modern chemistry. It just doesn't mean anything at all.
Yep.
Just using the word stuff in a physics class. Oh yeah, the on the periodic chart, that's some stuff up there. There's this stuff, there's that stuff, and there's the other stuff.
There's all kinds of stuff.
And hello, Ed. Good to see you. Ed be doing his show in a little bit.
is a straw man being presented here, then they should be able to give examples, specific examples of why it's false. A naturalist contradicts.
I think that's what we were doing. So,
himself because he must believe in phenomena which do not occur in nature, causeless effects, laws without lawmakers, the spontaneous generation of matter, energy, and life, and evolution across phylogenetic boundaries do not occur in nature.
What?
Wow, what a mouthful.
I mean, I certainly don't believe in non-natural things. I don't think anybody could show me something that is both non-natural and real.
Yeah, that's
But I am a naturalist, so of course I would believe that. That's kind of what the whole thing is about.
that one, but
If one chooses to believe that such things could happen in nature, he is no longer a naturalist.
Well, because I don't even understand what that is. You're throwing out a bunch of straw men, and then you're asking back upon it.
Yeah, at the same time he's talking about straw men, and I don't know what he means. What does he mean?
Yeah. I'm sorry, I'm reading it over here, and I don't see what it
Well, I'd
means.
like to find the source of this thing. He's obviously on some kind of web page or something.
Yeah, he seems to be on Facebook mostly.
I wonder if he lists the source. So, oh my.
Let's read that again. If one chooses to believe that such things could happen in nature, he is no longer a naturalist. He believes in unnatural, supernatural phenomena. The naturalist is, in actuality, a supernaturalist under the guise of a naturalist. And I really love that.
All right.
So evolution is supernatural.
Now, now we're supernatural. And of course, naturalism, he equates to atheism. So atheists are supernatural. We're all supernatural. How about that? I didn't know.
Statement here, because I often say to atheists, hey, look, the very attributes we attribute to God, power, creativity, the ability to fine tune, you attribute to nothing. Absolutely.
No, I mean, if you're a scientist, you have answers, and the rest of us, we kind of defer to the scientists to find answers for these things. We don't just say it's supernatural. That's what we were talking about earlier. Generally, atheists tend to dismiss most supernatural, if not all supernatural things. It's not just gods. So,
did Guy here really just say the fine tune?
The fine tune. Yes. You got to have the fine tune. I enjoy a fine tune.
Absolutely nothing. Like Richard Dawkins stated, that the universe evolved out of literally nothing. So they're attributing creative power to nothing, which is, on the surface of things, sort of incoherent, to use a...
It's not incoherent. You're cherry picking what Richard Dawkins said. Richard Dawkins, first of all, it's not his field, okay? Secondly, he was talking that basically there was no universe. But everybody agrees that, and Mike, I think you were talking about it earlier, maybe. I think Leo was talking about it the other night, weren't you too? That everything breaks down at a certain point, and we just don't know. We can't answer it because there's no math, the physics is not understood, all these things.
Yeah,
but
explanations ground out somewhere. There comes a time when you stop getting explanations for things because you've reached the bottom.
So there you go. So stop asking. First of all, I don't know. And second of all, ask somebody in the field, right? Because this is another thing we were just joking about earlier, that you can't be an atheist unless you know everything, apparently. So keep that in mind. Unless you know everything, you cannot be an atheist.
There's also this problem that a lot of theists commit, where they think that nothingness is that there's a thing, and that thing is nothingness, and that thing produced the universe. I don't even know what that means to think that, but for those that believe that the universe came from nothing, they don't mean that there's a thing called nothing and that thing created the universe. They mean that there is no thing that created the universe because it wasn't created.
And for a creationist, their creator is outside of nothing, which is a puzzler too. How can you be outside of nothing? So, but it is, and it's watching you.
It's not like there was literal nothingness, because I don't know what it means to say that there was, because that's like saying there exists, and then you're not talking about nothing. But the universe did not sort of spring into existence, or like as Joe Schmidt puts it, I think, sort of arrive on the scene of existence. That's not... Things don't do that. Things don't begin to exist. I don't know what that would even mean. It's not like that there's that things don't exist, and then I don't know, what does God reach into non-existence and pull the non-existent things from non-existence into existence? Like what does this even mean? So that's another thing that people need to remember, is it's not like the universe sprung into a state of existence from a state of non-existence. The universe just exists. That's it.
Let's wrap it up.
Polite word. Okay. Just finish reading this. We can at least agree with the naturalist on one thing. Even if he would not wish to concede it, the origin of the universe requires supernatural activity. The heavens declare the glory of God, Psalm 19:1. Choosing not to believe in him is without excuse.
Okay.
So,
yeah, we've heard that before. You're just saying our God did it, basically, in your religious text, and other religious texts say their gods did it. These are one of the things that it's a draw, right? Because if you're trying to convince me of something, and you're both just saying, well, this is what it says in my book, that's all you're saying. And I always find it a weak argument just to say, well, the Bible says so. It's like, well, I've been on Muslim apologist channels, and they telling me all about what the Quran says, and either way, I'm not pulled either way, because all I'm hearing is the same exact things turned around for their books. So
yeah,
really, you can turn it around and apply it to anybody's book, and then it kind of becomes meaningless as far as I'm concerned, as if you're trying to win me over.
We'll end that here and see what you all have to say about that. If you have any comments or questions, again, please post them in the comments section. And if you know someone that might benefit from these posts of mine, from my YouTube channel and my Facebook channel, please share the links. So,
Mission Millennial Z Alpha Generations. Quite creative.
Until next time, we'll talk to you later. Bye-bye.
Bye, Todd.
Well,
he's an idiot.
He actually used up energy for that spiel.
Yeah, I don't.
So there's a site called apologeticspress.org, which is where that's the label on the bottom of that. I did find the post in Facebook and I posted it. So I don't know what the hell they're talking about, but it's pretty bad. They mention naturalism in every one of their articles. What the hell? They are really upset about naturalism.
It's because naturalism is winning. I mean, it's clear.
Every single article. Oh my God.
Well, he said he's teaching the other side. So,
Side of what?
I don't know.
What are the articles?
It's the other side. I keep thinking of Predator when he runs into the Jamaican gang warlord guy or whatever in the alleyway. And he says, "Where does this thing come from?" He says, "You can't kill it. It's from the other side."
Yeah.
And Miss Bree is in the house. Miss Bree. Oh, wait a minute. Don't go anywhere.
What in the
Don't
hell?
go anywhere.
Oh,
Got my shirt on. Got my shirt on. There it is.
There it is.
And you should get one just like this, or maybe with a different cryptid on it, but a shirt from the Hive Psi. Link is in the description. Bree's in the chat. Go help Bree out. Get a t-shirt. You're going to get a t-shirt anyways, right? Sooner or later, you're going to need a new t-shirt. So go get a new t-shirt and help out Bree. Okay? Links in the description. And lots of other links are in the description too, including the folks who are on the panel here. And links to Kentucky Atheist with all that's going on with the ARC protest are also in the description too. King Willie, thank you. Thank you.
If you don't do this, if you don't go buy some merch, the Dirt Man will come and get you.
That's
and
right.
Let me tell you, you don't want to be on the Dirt Man's shit list.
That's right. And it is a nice soft shirt if you like a nice soft t-shirt, and the decal doesn't, it doesn't, what is it? Not real stiff. That's what I'm looking for. So, yeah.
So it doesn't wear off?
Hopefully not. We'll see. I always wash mine inside out, but it seems to help. I don't know. We'll see.
Yeah. Also got the Rabbit Atheist in here this time.
And Ed, yep. Good to see Ed as always. All right, now I got to switch back. Here we go. Yeah, King Willie was the drug lord or whatever he was, and he said it's from the other side. And then it came and got him. And that was the end of King Willie.
Hello, everyone. Welcome to Mission Millennial Z Alpha Generations, where we share the other side of the creation story with today's youth. Now, in today's video...
And I want everybody to notice, we already got through one video tonight. What is it? 1 hour in? I think we set a record, folks, for Saturday Night the Atheists.
Okay, Dave, you froze you froze him right there, right? And he wants to communicate with the youth with that face. I don't think so.
He's reminding them of their own mortality.
I guess so.
Yeah,
So
good point, Bree.
And I just now noticed the polemic right there, that black and white dualistic thinking of the other side, implying that there's only two sides of the argument.
Yeah.
Two sides to what argument?
That was a good pause.
That there's only two proposed theories or ideas about how everything came to be.
Oh, yeah, no, absolutely not.
Yeah, they always set it up as there's only their creation myth and nobody else has a creation myth, right?
God.
Yeah. And we got John. Hello, John, joining us. And Jen is here. Did I miss anybody? And of course, like I said, Bree is here. We were just saying earlier, I'm up early with Bree, and then I have lunch, and I get ready to do this show. So Saturday is my YouTubing day. YouTubing.
We're going to
start
be
using it.
refuting, critiquing the atheist claim that theism is not based on evidence. No, theism is based on a blind faith.
Yep.
And atheism is based on evidence, empirical evidence. Now you hear this idea floated about everywhere.
Nope.
No.
There's a really weird way of characterizing that whole.
Yes.
Seems to be
Loads it
the
up.
strategy is to have a weird take on the opposite view.
Yeah. Like
well,
we're supposed to have evidence that his crazy ass God doesn't exist. I don't know what that would amount. Evidence for something not existing, that's pretty hard to pull off, actually.
And we've talked before that we all have different stories on not believing, right? Some of the, like Scott was a big time believer, and now he's not. I was never really a believer. I think James was mostly a believer. Leo, were you ever a believer?
Yes, I was.
You were a believer too?
I started this whole thing, not my YouTube channel, but getting involved in debates and discussions online and shit as a theist, arguing for God's existence. So,
ooh,
Yeah,
I'd
so
love
we-
to
We
get
all
a
have
link to
different.
some of those videos.
Yeah, we all have.
there are no videos. This was before, like, it was big on YouTube. This was back when you had Pal Talk and Skype, and then Discord came along, and that really opened things up a little bit. Yeah, so I mean, like, I started this, I think, around the same time that Discord was like just getting going, but I wasn't on Discord first. I was on Pal Talk first. That's where I met someone that you and maybe some people from the audience might know, Jack Angstreich.
Oh.
And that's also where I first made contact as a theist, as a Christian, with Darth Dawkins. And here's another one, Nephilim Free. All on Pal Talk.
Wow.
Yeah.
Well, I have a question about that.
I've known these people since 2014.
These guys go way back.
As a Christian, what was your opinion at that time of Darth Dawkins?
He was kind of an idiot. Just like I think now, he's kind of an idiot.
That's fair.
Kind of an asshole, too. Right?
Yeah, but it was fun watching people like Jack Angstreich and the Realistic Nihilist. I don't know if you guys know him, Josh. Beat the shit out of him on Pal Talk, just like almost every single day. It was great.
I remember AOL chat rooms.
That was before even when I was into chat rooms.
In Yahoo chat rooms.
And then Yahoo chat rooms.
In MySpace, that's where I used to argue as a Christian before I deconverted.
I used to do a journal on MySpace.
Yahoo was brutal too. I mean, there was like no rules in there or anything. It was awful.
It was fast and furious, and there were no rules at all.
Yeah.
You gotta know how to thrive in those kind of environments, because.
Oh yeah.
Top atheists all the way down to club atheist on the internet.
Top atheist down to club atheist. I didn't get a card.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh.
There's a club now?
What about the bottom atheists?
Did you send Bree a link?
Bottom atheists?
I sent Bree a link.
Okay.
Yeah, bottom atheists.
We'll
Gotta
see.
have.
We'll catch you later, Ed. Yeah, and everybody that isn't subscribed over there, make sure you go and check out.
Oh,
Ed, the
Ed
Rabid
wanted
Atheist.
toasters.
But not right now. Sorry, Ed. I ain't chasing people off right now. But when you're not here, you go check out Ed. Let's see. Okay. Bree should have a link.
It's a common misrepresentation, straw man, if you will. And this straw man argument is embodied, it's explicitly given by Neil deGrasse Tyson in the interview we're about ready to critique. Again, I like Neil's stuff. I watch his videos.
Okay.
Him and Michio Kaku are my favorite scientists to watch. They make learning very interesting.
You know, I like Michio more before he started going off on the UFO thing
I gotta
on
be
Fox
honest.
News.
I've never really been a fan of Michio Kaku.
Really?
Never been the biggest fan. And that's probably because he started appearing on Ancient Aliens, and that's kind of when I knew, like, yeah. I mean, he's the legitimate physicist. Don't get me wrong, but
yeah.
you know, Sabina Hassenfelder is also a legitimate physicist. But
didn't Mayim Bialik recently interview him?
Same.
Yeah.
As a PhD, I believe in like neuroscience or cognitive science or something, and just went just fucking off the deep end.
Right.
Didn't know how to swim.
Yeah, what happened to Sabine?
From the high dive. She just kind of like she still has a kernel of legitimacy to a lot of the videos that she does, but she's really been pushing this like anti-academia, borderline anti-intellectual stuff, and it's been appealing. So I right now I would put her in the same category as like Eric Weinstein, where like there's some really level of legitimacy to him, but he's still like halfway there, if you know what I mean. But he's not a fucking like Deepak Chopra or Terrence Howard or fucking somebody like that.
I would have looked at Jillian Michaels.
Yeah. If you look at how many views Sabine gets for the anti-academia videos, you can kind of think that maybe there's a monetary aspect to it. Yep.
Because she's not actively working as a physicist. Like,
no,
as far as I know, she is
working
not
as a
working.
YouTuber.
Yeah. So.
Yeah.
Hello, Bree.
Hello.
Hi, Bree.
Thanks for stopping
Hi,
by.
hi. Yeah, is my audio okay? Do I need to boost myself or drop myself or anything?
Sound just fine.
Yeah,
pretty
sound
good.
great.
All right. Oh my gosh, Leo. Can you pull Leo up so I can see this facial hair he's got going on, please?
Yeah, I know. I told you.
Oh my gosh.
There you go.
You look like a freaking college professor, my dude.
Well, that's probably more the bathrobe than it is anything else. But.
You need like a pipe. Oh, very dapper.
That's his smoking jacket. That's a smoking jacket. It's not a robe. It's a smoking jacket.
He's got some cosplay for us.
Yeah,
here.
yeah.
Go ahead.
Somebody else said that on another stream, and I'll say the same thing I did there. I do have a pipe.
There you go.
Of course you do.
Yeah.
See, Leo's been doing science in his basement, and that's actually Sliders Leo from another dimension, and like the evil twin Leo.
Oh yeah. The evil one always has the facial hair, don't they?
Yes, the goatee,
that's correct.
Yeah.
Like, that is correct. They always do because they're the cool one, right? Like, let's be honest here.
Yeah.
I'm totally not saying that for certain ulterior motives either, but they are the cooler one, you know?
Yeah.
But I critique, I dismiss, I dislike his atheism because his arguments I consider are poor.
Neil deGrasse Tyson.
And so let's get right into the video and see what you think.
So the more I look at the universe, just the less convinced I am that there is something benevolent going on. If your concept of a creator is someone who's all-powerful and all good, that's not an uncommon pairing of powers that you might describe to a creator. And I look at disasters that afflict Earth and life on Earth. Volcanoes, hurricanes, tornadoes, earthquakes, disease, pestilence, congenital birth defects. You look at this list of ways that life is made miserable on Earth by natural causes. And I just ask, how do you deal with that? So philosophers rose up and said, if there is a God, God is either not all-powerful or not all-good. Given what everyone describes to be the properties that would be expressed by an all-powerful being in the gods that they worship, I look for that in the universe and I don't find it. So I remain unconvinced. But
yeah, it's just running the logical argument from evil there. That if we take that God is both all-powerful and morally perfect, then it just follows that anything God deems impermissible just wouldn't occur.
Yeah, he made
What's
that
weird is with
Does
their
does God think the Holocaust was impermissible?
Yeah, he made the distinction of an all good, that not just God, but a good God. Why does a good God allow these bad things to happen?
Morally perfect and all-powerful.
Right.
Yeah, apologists today have decided that their Christianity is so lame, they'll dismiss the all-powerful argument just so they can sort of like win that debate from evil. Like, was it Cameron Bartuzzi said something to the effect that he doesn't take atheism serious anymore because when they say, well, an all-powerful, all-good God, wouldn't allow evil, then we're okay with God not being all-powerful. We're okay with him being maximally powerful. So they change their doctrine just so they can get out of an argument.
What's the difference between God being all-powerful and God being maximally powerful?
I don't know. You'll have to. It lets them get out of that argument, they think.
But he loves us so much that he lets us have our free will. It's like a parent who loves his kids so much that he'll let them run out into traffic.
But he knows exactly what you're going to do from the beginning of time until the end of time.
Yeah.
Here, Neil brings up the question of evil, which is a formidable argument. Question of evil and suffering. How can a good God permit this? Which, by the way, I don't want to delve into this too
Isn't
much,
it
but
the problem
for me,
of evil?
my default position is deism, not atheism. So it's not we're not at the horns of a false dilemma. That if the Christian God is not the right God, quote unquote, then you must have an atheistic outlook on origins. It's not true. There's many theists, and that would be my default position.
Oh my God. The complete misunderstands what the problem of evil is.
He's
if
really
you
hard
believe
to.
in God, but it's not like morally perfect. Then the argument just doesn't apply to you.
Yeah.
Nobody would run the problem of evil against you that understood it, at least. So like when he says, well, but the problem you could still be like a deist, man. Like that doesn't matter. That's not the point. The point is that an all-powerful and morally perfect God cannot exist, which is the God claimed to exist by everyone who claims to be a classical theist, which is probably most theists, at least most theists in the Western world.
And that's what Neil said basically. So it's sound what he said.
But the evidence is strong for supernaturalism, a Christian theism for supernaturalism. So
they like saying that too. The evidence is strong for the supernatural. No, it's not.
What is any point of evidence for the supernatural? Is he using he seems to be using supernatural and metaphysical like interchangeably here, which are two different concepts completely.
You have to have a supernatural creator, and it's okay, but you don't have good evidence for it. If you had good evidence for it, people would accept it.
That's why I promote that particular.
Well, we're already supernatural. I already said if you are a naturalist, you believe in the supernatural because you have to, because everything is supernatural to have a supernatural origin. If you're a naturalist, and I didn't understand that train of thought at all. But so we're all supernatural. So
I'm hypernatural, actually.
Hypernatural.
Mm-hmm.
There you go.
It's even a step higher. What's up?
Idea. Now, as far as the question of evil, I get into this in other things. I'm getting ready to post a video soon about the question of evil. And I don't want to get too far into the weeds on that because that's a very long topic. But let's just say this. I'll make this one point in our favor. On atheism, on Darwinian, dog-eat-dog world of naturalistic causes, you by tooth and nail, you progress. That's how you keep your species alive.
Yes and no. Not all species rely on tooth and nail, so to speak, but yeah. But he's trying to set up the was it social Darwinism, whatever they call it, and it's like society doesn't act that way though.
So evolution is an ecological, multifaceted balancing act, right? It's not just one factor or the other. Just try to be the most powerful and most successful. There's niche partitioning. You find a slot that you can fit in and that you can survive in. You don't even have to thrive in it. You just have to survive and propagate, right?
Live by killing the other species and so forth. All this stuff that is commonplace with atheistic Darwinism.
Well, I mean, if you believe there's a creator and everything was created this way, even as somebody mentioned, it wasn't until after the fall, creation is still relying on eating things. If not before the fall, there's supposedly like Ken Ham and stuff will say everybody was a vegetarian, but you're still eating the plants, right? What did the plants do, right?
Yeah, I'm trying to understand his marketing. It sounds like he's saying, wouldn't you rather live in a universe where it was God's idea for all this violence to happen? It's like, how is that any better? It's the same amount of violence.
It's not a good argument. I mean, as a naturalist, so to speak, you would just say, well, that's how things are. You got to eat to survive. But if you're an intelligent design or a creationist, however he wants to word himself, then you got to ask yourself, well, why do we have to eat anyways? Mike explained earlier why we have to eat, because it's a matter of entropy, right? You have to have energy in. But if you're supernatural, why, right? Kat Kerr was talking about in heaven you can eat all you want to, but there's no toilets. And I'm like, well, then you're not really eating, are you? And if you can ingest all you want and it just magically disappears, like Kat Kerr says, then again, why do we have to eat? Or why do we have all this? It's all these extra intricacies going on in something that you think would just be a supernatural thing with some skin on it. The more intricacies I see doesn't explain a designer to me. It explains nature, because for me, if I was God, I don't know, I might just, form the thing out of clay like it says in one of the books there and just make it come to life, right? Why sit there with all the wiring and building all the cells and all the stuff, right? It seems all the complexity takes away from the design argument more than anything else.
Where's this, where is this question of evil, this perception of evil come from? Richard Dawkins, for example, said, at bottom, there is no good, no evil, just pitiless indifference. We are machines made to propagate human DNA, and that is our sole purpose.
Well, Dawkins is a biologist.
I hate this fucking quote so much because it's every time I hear this quote, all I can think is, yeah, well, that's just like your opinion, man.
Well,
Dawkins,
I don't give a fuck what some half racist, old ass, crippled up fucking British fucking Brit bomber turf dude said back in like 2002. I don't give a fuck. I don't think anybody gives a fuck. Stop saying this. It doesn't mean anything.
Yeah.
Dawkins has demonstrated over and over again he doesn't understand that human sociology is a factor, and there's that's just the end of it right there. In the conversation, he's not willing to factor in sociology and psychology of the human animal. So
all these rich emergent features that exist in our species.
They have to throw his name out there. It's one of the names that they love to throw out there because we worship Richard Dawkins, as you can notice with Bree's reaction. Surely Bree is worshiping Richard Dawkins.
Yeah, same.
Yeah,
the atheist pope.
Yeah, the atheist pope, right?
Darwin and Dawkins.
So moments of candor, atheists will admit there is no such thing as good and evil because
that's
to be consistent.
There's good and evil. Yeah, that's why we made words for these things. I mean, right?
even if he has heard an atheist say that, imagine me saying, even a Christian, if you ask anybody at Westboro Baptist Church, even a Christian thinks God hates everybody, right? It's any Christian that isn't a Westboro Baptist is going to say, hold on, they don't get to speak for us, but they get to cherry pick hypothetical, theoretical, non-existent atheists. They get to speak for all of us.
How many times have you heard the story that I sat on an airplane next to an atheist professor one day, and I learned them a thing or two.
You know what I find absolutely hilarious, though, is that they always give atheists super high-level jobs, like some atheist professor or some atheist scientist or something like that. Like,
well, it's a conspiracy, so you get the job you want, I guess. I just want to be a scientist. Okay, here you go. Just got to get the brain implant, and you're good to go.
On atheism, Darwinian atheism in particular.
Darwinian atheism. That's a new one.
They just make shit up and then say it and just confidently and then run with it on this Darwinian Marxist atheism, and then you're sitting here like, what the fuck are you talking about, dude? It's so bad. It's so fucking bad.
I did make some artwork for just such an occasion.
That looks like my brain.
The dog-eat-dog world of Darwinian evolution, survival of the.
This whole survival of the fittest thing. It's he's really pushing it. The dog eat dog. Oh.
Why are they saying it like a New York? It's a dog-eat-dog world.
Yeah.
Fittest. On that theory, there is no such thing as good and evil. And I'm going to compile a bunch of quotes together from various atheists in moments of candor will admit this.
Oh, good.
And if you want a lot of these arguments, Alex O'Connor does a lot of them, that you can have evil just in the animal kingdom and stuff. And so he's got a lot of points. Agree with him or not, he makes a lot of points about, there's evil without humans or the human God. So... Go ahead, Mike.
Yeah, my cats are fluffy little murder machines. They still purr.
Yeah, that gorgeous little kitty, but when it sees a mouse, all of a sudden it's not so nice, right?
Yeah, but they still purr and hug you. So anyway, I don't know what his point is.
They've got to pass.
Putting that aside, let's get back to the interview and get to the real point of the question of, is theism just a blind faith without evidence? Let's say this.
I would say yes, because as I pointed out earlier, you can apply their arguments to just about any faith or belief or ideology and make it work the same way. That my book says this is right, correct, and true. And speaking of, I just narrated a book for Deconverted Man, which we're going to have out soon. And
did he say
his book also says that it's right, correct, and true. So it must be because it says so in his book, right?
Did he say theism or Christianity? I can't remember. He said either something about Christianity being blind faith and without evidence, or theism. I can't.
We'll admit this. But putting that aside, let's get back to the interview and get to the real point of the question of, is theism just a blind faith without evidence?
I would say no to that. No, it is not.
Okay.
What's the evidence?
Great.
I mean, there's a lot of evidence cited. It's not very good evidence. I mean, not very good at all.
Yeah.
But
okay, I would agree that there's not good evidence. Okay.
Yeah.
But,
the evidence is quite poor, in fact, actually. But
yeah,
there's evidence.
It doesn't convince most of the world, and no matter which theism you pick. And then even amongst themselves, then you have, the sects and denominations that can't agree with each other either. So.
Oh, sure. Yeah.
Like
I
it's
said,
very difficult.
Quite poor evidence, but it's still evidence.
Yeah, I'll give you that. It's
just no evidence of it. And this is why religions are called faiths, because you believe something in the absence of evidence. That's what...
Wrong. This is an amateur mistake he made here.
Well, as we just said, we're looking for good evidence. That the Bible is evidence, right? It is evidence. Somebody wrote these things down, but is it good evidence? So,
absolutely not.
Yeah, that's where we would say, okay, well, you have some evidence, but I'm still dismissing it because it's not good evidence.
Right. It's like someone wants to convince you the leprechauns exist, and they cite the existence of rainbows and gold and short Irishmen. Well, those things exist in the real world, but you're not really convincing me of the leprechauns.
Yeah. I like my evidence to be evident.
Yeah.
I think if I'm being quite honest, I would say the evidence for theism is so poor that theism, or rather naturalism, is actually overdetermined by the evidence. The theism can just sort of be swept off to the side.
I'm playing with a cat toy. How did you know I was playing with a cat toy?
Are you going to rip it to shreds?
How did he know I was?
We can hear the cat toy.
My wife usually buys the dog a new toy at the grocery store, and so the dog knows to go look in the grocery bags for the new
if I don't
toy.
play with my cat, he'll rip my face off. So I have to do this.
Sure enough, lets the dog in, and dog runs right over the grocery bag, sticks his nose in there, pulls out the new toy, and within no time he had the toy half ripped to shreds. So that's why he has to get new toys all the time, because
or Saint Bernard. We used to buy him these quacking ducks, and he would rip them to shreds. But before he did, he'd walk around with this duck in his mouth, and he would quack like a duck. So it was like a Saint Bernard that quacked like a duck. It was the coolest thing ever. Then he'd rip it to pieces, and he'd be like, "Why, it doesn't work anymore?" He'd get all depressed. So I go back to Walgreens, drop another $9.
Quack like a duck.
The younger dog, he still gets happy. So if you give him some, he puts it in his mouth, and then he runs around for a little while and comes up and shows you again, and then runs around for a while and comes back and shows you again. Just happy to have it,
Yeah.
Hey, Dave, I just sent you a message. Go check your message. You'll like it.
Good evening, Pixie Storms. It's good to see you tonight.
There we go.
Hello.
Bree's making some artwork.
Naked Bearded Man. And we got...
There we go.
Kian RS asks if this is a live or a pre-recording. We recorded this yesterday, Kian RS. So,
yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
We have premonitions of what you're going to ask, and then we're like,
Actually, this is coming to you from tomorrow. So it's tomorrow.
Yeah, it's premonitions. It's totally not the time crystals I had to steal from the U.S. government. It's a good thing that there are a lot of incompetent people.
You are not supposed to talk about the time crystals. How many times have we discussed this backstage?
We are live here every Saturday at 5 p.m. Eastern. Thanks for joining us.
I can say whatever I want. I have the time crystals.
Benevolent construction on it. I think it's inexcusable, personally, to, use a straw man argument like that. He must know that theists use arguments based on evidence. He must know that. Like the fine-tuning argument for the existence of a creator.
No. Fine tuning is in Leo can correct me if I get the wording wrong. Fine tuning is just the parameters of the universe. And if you say, well, they could be different, I agree. They could be different. And then the universe might not be here. Right. But what is the point? Right now, the point is the universe is here and it has certain parameters.
The big thing is that those parameters are right for life to be able to develop and persist. I still think that, okay. Oh, and? Why is life special? Because you said so? Well, I don't have to agree with you. The fuck do I care if life arises or not? Because I am a life? Well, I am a life who doesn't care if he hadn't been here, because I wouldn't be here to fucking care, would I? Like, what are you getting at?
Peter Atkins said when he was asked about it, he said, the universe seems to be designed for a lot of rocks. So, maybe that's why the universe is here, because the universe needs rocks.
This place that we're living right now, the planet we're on right now, is designed specifically for beetles. We're just kind of we're not even three quarters of the organisms of the animals on the planet are beetles. So that's what this planet is best fit for. So.
Deconverted
I
Man,
thought it was for the crab people.
Yeah, Deconverted Man thinks it's for the lobsters. So we're gonna have problems here. We're gonna have problems.
Okay, I have something amusing here. I did a stream with Deconverted Man, and he posted an encyclopedic comment on my stream, and then he sent it to ChatGPT, his encyclopedic comment, and ChatGPT responded like this. It says, "That was a ride!" ! You covered the fundamental nature of reality, entropy, the illusion of self, the recursive absurdity of existence, the inevitable heat death of the universe, and then somehow landed on a world made of lobsters. Solid arc.
You overloaded ChatGPT.
Yeah. Solid arc.
Must know there's evidence in which we based our theory. He might not agree with it. All right, fair enough. Fair play if you don't agree with it, but don't misrepresent it, please. I see this so often, and I'm appealing to my atheist friends out there. Don't go this route.
We're not. Don't worry.
Always ask the question, does he really have an atheist friend?
Yeah, right.
Yeah. Well, he does on Facebook.
Just weigh the evidence, right? Is it a blind faith that we have? No. We are basing it on solid arguments.
What are they?
From the Bible?
You're not basing them on solid arguments.
Yeah, you're going to get a lot of pushback. And if you say, well, there's a name of a city in the Bible that exists, that's not a good argument either. So we're going to right back to, as Leo and I were discussing there, is that good evidence? No. Is it evidence? Yeah. If a book cites some cities and people and stuff in it, it's evidence. But then you have to examine that evidence. And then you have to find out things like, Tyre? The Bible says it's going to be destroyed, right? Well, it's still there. So you can go and check these things, and then you're going to see, the Bible maybe got that wrong. Now, back in the day, you might not have known. Today, you can Google Earth it, and you can see the places there, right? So maybe you could fool people a long time ago saying, oh, that place ain't there anymore. God destroyed it. But it's, when it makes specific claims, these things you can check. When you make supernatural claims, they can't be checked.
Right. Christians only have two kinds of solid arguments, sinkers and floaters.
Well, it's the Sherlock Holmes argument is what I call it. Sherlock Holmes is based in a place that exists, and it gives different areas of town and names of places and landmarks and all these things, but the characters in it are fictional. So if anybody read that book and didn't know that it was a fictional book, you would assume it was, well, look, it's in London and here's the address and, all these things. And
I have a question for everybody here.
But it's a fictional book. So that's you got to figure out where the fictional part is. Go ahead, Leo.
So you guys are all familiar with honey buns, right? I think they're Little Debbie. They might be the other one.
Hostess is the good one.
Okay.
Well, the brand doesn't matter, but you've heard of honey buns, right?
Yes.
Yep.
Yeah. What the fuck happened to them? They used to be twice this motherfucking size.
Man.
What is this shit?
Peanut butter
Denser,
cups did that too.
It's a tariff. You gotta pay the tariff, man.
Reese's peanut butter cups did that crap too. I'm telling you.
Yeah, I was to say it's got shrinkage. It was left out in the cold.
When I was a little kid, for 5 cents, you could buy a Hershey bar, and it was as big as me. I mean, it was like you could
everybody loves that good old slave chocolate, that child slave chocolate.
Yeah,
the candy bars have gotten very small indeed. And the cereal boxes are the same size on the shelf when you look at it, but the box got skinnier.
And on the inside, it's like at least 1/4 air on the inside of those goddamn things.
That's with chips too. Yeah.
Yeah.
I was gonna say that's the joke with potato chips. It's a bag of air. You open it up and you're like, hey, wait a minute.
Yeah, I think even in the Catholic Church now they've shrunk down the communion crackers. They're now oyster crackers.
Oh my!
We got those little tiny weird.
Everybody's on a
when I
budget.
was going to Presbyterian.
That's a development.
Well,
they got to ration Jesus. They only got so many pieces left.
Yeah, they're tariffing the communion things from Rome or whatever, I'm sure. So, it's hurting everybody. It's hurting everybody.
Now, atheism is just as much a blind faith as Christianity is. Because why? It's not a fact that we can observe the creation of the universe.
Okay, it's a blind faith that I don't believe in his God.
I mean, I'm going to take it as a win that he admitted that his faith is blind.
Yeah.
Yeah, you can't. Yeah, he doesn't see the beginning of the universe any more than we do, although we can see very close back to the beginning of the universe, because one thing creationists leave out is astronomers are kind of time travelers, right? They're seeing back how things were a long time ago. So we're getting pretty close to seeing back there. So maybe soon.
I don't know why we're presuming that the universe has a beginning. Do we know that? I don't think we know that.
We don't know that.
They're very big on, because the Bible says in the beginning. So that equates to, if the universe has a beginning, then the Bible's right, because it starts out with in the beginning, which I don't know how that connects, but
right, they've been taught to assume
somewhere in there.
Right, they've been taught to assume that it means in the beginning of all time and space and matter, when it doesn't say that at all. It doesn't mean that. It doesn't say that.
And of course, as soon as you start reading Genesis, it's all out of place, and it doesn't even really have the beginning that they're talking about it, because it starts out with God hovered above the waters. So there's a problem right there with there wasn't anything and then God made everything, because God was hovering above the waters. There was already something. So then you have a problem with, Leo was asking, well, where did he get the stuff? Well, he must have got all the stuff from the waters, because the waters were there, which I don't know how you have waters in the universe just floating around in a big glob or something. But that's what it starts
we
out
actually
as.
do, don't we?
I don't
Isn't
know.
there a lot of water out there?
Doesn't water vaporize in a vacuum? Well, it can freeze.
But what I do know is that apparently the best way to understand that part of that phrase is not in the beginning God, it's when God began. So it technically does not state in the beginning. It states when God began to create the heavens and the earth.
Right. Bibles are so unreliable. The very first verse in the first book has been mistranslated and misunderstood.
And I wanted to say hello to everybody join us. We got AIP, Tons of Mice, Oceanus, and KCA Randy. Good to see you, Randy. If I missed anybody, hello.
Oh my gosh, I haven't seen Randy in forever. Randy, hey.
Yeah. Oh, Jackie's in here too. Hello, Jackie.
Yeah, hey, Jackie.
All the best folks come through here. All the
You already
best
said,
folks.
yeah, Pixie's out there. And
Pixie's out there. Yeah, it's Geo Sam.
Geo Sam.
What's this? Cayenne?
Jackie.
Yeah, lots of... Way too many. Hello, everybody. Not way too many. More. Speaking of more, if you're not subscribed to my channel, I'm getting close to 500 subs, and I'd really appreciate it if you could help me get there. So if you're not subscribed, drop down below, hit that subscribe button, and check out the links in the description, because most of the folks on the panel, I'll put the other ones in later, are already linked in the description, as well as Breeze merch store, where you can get a great shirt, and Joe's links with his affiliates, gives you a discount code and everything. Check everything out in the description.
Hey there, quick report.
And observe that that's an historical event. So that's why you have theories about these different things. In fact, there's a lot of competing theories within the atheistic community of origins. And why would they?
I don't know of any. We don't have theories of origins. This is the if you saw the thumbnail for this video, I made a field of straw men. And Todd here talks a lot about straw men. He mentions it a lot. And so it all kind of went together. I don't think Todd realizes, though, is these are all straw men and cherry picking what Dawkins said so far. And Tyson, too. Nothing Tyson said was wrong. It was that, yeah, there's a problem that if you have an all-powerful, morally perfect God, I think Leo worded it, then, yeah, why would it sit back and allow these evil things to happen? And supposedly they don't happen in heaven. So it is possible to have an existence where these things do not happen. So it seems to be a choice by the deity that they do happen.
There'd be competing theories. There's no competing theories about whether Jupiter exists. That's a fact. That's a empirically observed fact. We can look in through a telescope, we can see Jupiter there. No one argues the existence of Jupiter. They might argue how did Jupiter actually evolve in the concourse of stellar evolution and all that. But they don't actually question the existence, because that is an observable fact. Now, in my...
Yeah, and we have ideas of how planets form around stars. I don't see what the problem is. It's not something atheists have different ideas about. There are cosmologists and physicists and various fields that try to answer these things, but it's this atheist theories thing, that's a new one, along with the atheist club and what was the other thing that I didn't know about? We're learning all kind of things about these atheist things that we didn't know about. So thanks, Todd.
Yeah, become an atheist, get the perks. But he's also wrong to say that there's nobody that argues whether or not those things exist. There are people that think this could be a simulation. Other people think it could be a dream. Other people think it could be brains in a vat, right? So, he's wrong.
And there
I take
again,
seriously nobody that thinks we're a brain. That they're a brain.
Well, it doesn't really matter, because it doesn't matter what you think or what you believe or don't believe. When you associate it with an atheist, it's just wrong, because an atheist doesn't believe in God. So I say it often, an atheist is always put on the spot. Oh, well, you have to know everything. Where'd the universe come from? Where'd life come from? All these things. No, you don't. And
yeah, because if you can't answer that question, you have to put God in that hole until you can. That's the rule.
Yep. So it's not a prerequisite of every atheist, including me, to be a cosmologist, physicist, biologist, which again is kind of impossible, because people that have an expertise in their field pretty much stay in their little expertise in their field, right?
Right.
So
let me try that again real quick, Dave. Put God in those holes.
Oh, baby.
There we go.
I can't top that. I just can't.
We all got to take a moment. Okay. Bree got everybody worked up.
I only have one.
Sorry, guys.
That's it. That's the whole show.
That's it. Can't follow that, right?
No,
It's a wrap, Paul.
No way to do it. But I do want to say that I only have one God-shaped hole, and it's exit only.
Oh.
Anyone wondering?
My debate, theistic debate challenge, I called it, a video which I posted 2 weeks ago, and it's in the description if you want to watch my first 20-minute speech.
And I have that. We might look at it at another day, though, because it's a longer video. But he basically goes through a lot of the common
So it's not
arguments.
20 minutes.
That video is like a half hour or something long or something. And he's got what did he say, the 7 points? One of them, I'm pretty sure it's like the fine tuning and the kalam and all the usual things. So I did download it. I have it saved, but I didn't have it ready for tonight. I just had his shorts ready for tonight. But he does have a couple longer videos.
I just noticed in chat that AI says he can prove, or they can prove that God exists. Absolutely, all caps. So,
dude, come in.
Yes.
We will just talk to you.
Yes.
We've got you all got through more video tonight than I've ever seen you do on Saturday Night at the Atheist. So if you want to bring on a CS now and let them prove God to us, I would be here for that.
Is this the one here?
No, it's pretty far back. Let's see, where the hell is it? I can prove that God exists. Absolutely. Right, let's see, where the fuck is it? I can't help you because I can't show the thing.
Yeah, it must be.
It's 5:31 p.m. So it's at 5:31.
All right,
of course, you got a lot of comments, man. So go back to 5:31. It's
Holy moly. We do have a lot of comments. Thanks, everybody.
You got what do we got so far? We're at, let me see, 301 chats already. 301 chats.
I can't even scroll back that far.
Well, I can on StreamYard.
It's the same person that's there, though.
They're waiting for the link.
Yeah, they're saying, how could I come in? It doesn't, I mean, it
absolute proof of God. Oh, God, I need that. I need that.
I think we all do. I think we all could use a little more.
Anybody know who this person is?
No.
No, but if they're going to prove Jesus to us, I want to, or God or anything else.
God.
Did I turn into a goat? Oh, no, it's Jinx. Okay. I was confused for a second.
We got to
sometimes I do.
Why are the two people with their webcams on at the bottom of this? Like, what? What are we doing here?
Yeah, and plus we both look really hot. You should be putting us up front and center.
I could do a webcam.
Put the sexy people on top. Come on now. Y'all hiding behind your avatars.
I'll drop myself on the bottom.
I'm
that's
real.
the one that gets covered up. We don't want to cover up Bree. That's my money. That's my money maker up there.
Honey, you can come back on camera too.
We pimp it up in here. That's all I.
All y'all, yeah.
I get back on in a minute.
In my theistic debate challenge, I put out my first 20-minute speech.
Also, I think is Scott backstage?
What happened to Scott? He just dipped.
Yeah, my connection keeps dropping for some reason.
Also,
Sorry,
AI is still waiting for the link to join. Unless we're not letting them join, I don't know. It's not my decision to make.
Yeah, I mean it's not my stream, but I'm here for it. If you want to,
I think it'd be fun, and if they're trolling, we can just kick them.
Yeah, it'd be easy, and we can go right back to what we were doing.
All right. Well,
did you give them a link, or how do you give them a link?
Yeah.
Somebody'd have to drop a link into the chat.
You seem to
put a link in the
like
chat and don't let in anybody that you don't want to come in. Just let that person in.
Yeah. You can see what they're doing down at the bottom, so you'll be able to
I can't do that because of Minnesota Nice. If somebody comes in my room, I have to let them in.
All right, we'll give you a couple minutes, and then we're going to go back to the show because we're getting through more video than we've ever gotten here on Saturday Night at the Atheist. We're on a roll.
It's because Mom's here. Mom's here to keep you guys on track.
I know. Awesome. I'll
My
drop you a
prediction
link.
is that AI is going to bluster, talk, and not really get anywhere, and then waffle when we ask questions.
All right. Well, I'll drop a link, and you can have a couple minutes to present your argument.
Scott, that sounds like it needs to be a poll on the channel.
Yeah, please,
too.
everybody, don't jam me up with a bunch of
I'll stay
coming
quiet.
in. Just that's just for that one person.
Scott. No, he's talking to the live chat, telling them not to all everybody to swarm in here.
Yeah, no, not you guys. Just I put the link out for the one.
How many spots do you got open? Do you only have 6 spots, or you got the 10?
Yes, you chat. I'm not good enough to be up here.
I got the big one, baby.
Okay.
You actually pay for this stuff? Like $50 a month?
Wait, who?
It's like 20 something. I grandfathered in off last year's.
Oh, you did? Okay.
So when everybody was complaining about the price jack, I was like, I got grandfathered, and they offered me the same deal. So
I just, if you want the same thing, Mike, just unsubscribe, and then when they say, "Hey, where you going?"
Yeah, I know.
Like, yeah, fuck you, you fucking cheap ass motherfuckers. This is what I want to pay. I either pay that or fuck you.
Like Sirius XM, every year they try to charge me like $300, and I say, I'm gonna listen to one station, and they say, okay, we'll give it to you for like $6 a month. So they sign me up for another year.
I know so many people that haggle with Sirius and like pretty much be like, I'll pay you like.
They just drop immediately.
Like,
I mean,
okay, with $30 sounds good.
They aren't even a challenge, you know.
It's the link. I think does StreamYard ask you for your Google or something like that?
I have no idea. It shouldn't.
No, they don't. They'll just let you in. You just click the link.
He said I'm in, so I don't know if he's backstage.
He's in.
Or what's going?
He's all in, man.
All in. Let's hear it.
I'm gonna convert tonight. I'm gonna become a Christian, God-fearing man tonight.
My God is an awesome God.
Oh no, Leo, now it's gonna be stuck in my head.
Okay, we got AI here. AI, you got the floor. Go ahead, give us your argument.
Yes.
Are you there?
You're muted.
I see him muted.
Can you guys hear me?
There you are. We can hear you now.
All right.
I see him muted.
Yeah, I hear me.
But you're gonna have to turn the stream down in the background.
Yeah, that's done.
Also, everybody should just take into account that he's got like an 8-second delay that he's working with. So
No, I can hear you from the stream directly.
No, all right.
You're a little bit echoey.
Right. That's all right.
He sounds
All right,
fine.
AI,
He
what's
sounds fine.
you got an argument that you have for us?
Prove absolutely.
Yeah, so my argument is essentially that you don't have proof for anything else, right? So you can't absolutely prove anything else. So
That's it? That's your argument?
That's it?
Is that
we
even
don't
an
have
argument?
proof
Wait.
of anything? That's not true. We have proof of a lot of things.
wait, 1 second, sorry, I had to do something else. So it's essentially that we don't have absolute proof for anything. So it being like the proof for it is that it exists for me and many other people, and it exists in the Bible, and the Bible itself is basically the proof for God's existence.
I'm not impressed.
So your proof is the Bible. We were talking about that earlier. That we'll agree that the Bible is evidence, but we find it to be very weak evidence.
All right, can you guys just name one thing that's provable absolutely?
There's some math, maybe.
I'm sitting here at the captive desk.
Yeah.
I'm trying to think of who AI reminds me of. Hal from Space Odyssey.
Yeah.
What does it mean to prove something absolutely?
It's not good
Yeah,
for us
right.
Daves there, James.
Right.
Usually things are proved in a deductive sense where it's just granted. It's a given that the conclusion follows logically.
Yeah, but
So-
Yeah, go ahead.
oh shit.
So proofs are. I guess we didn't invite you in here to talk about proofs, but evidence. And if you think there's no evidence that for anything to be, we're circling back to that brain in the vat argument. Is that the where you want to plant your flag? I guess.
Yes, essentially there's no proof going either way. You can't prove that God doesn't exist.
So is it smarter to infer then that a third party does exist, or is it more probable to assume that it doesn't? Which seems more likely to you, and why?
Well, the null would be to say you don't know. You shouldn't necessarily assume anything.
So you agree that putting a God in that slot, it would be not the rational decision at that point, right?
And saying there's no God either is just
Okay.
as irrational.
Yeah.
Mine's argument is that.
To me, those other two positions are the same position. You know, really, it's because if you're gonna function in the world, you should function in the world as if one doesn't exist until there's evidence that it does, right? Like
No, I completely
like
disagree.
you don't function in the world that there's an invisible monster in your closet until you're proven that there's not one, right?
That's not how it works. I'll give you an example. So if you open a closet door you've never seen before, are you gonna expect there to be nothing behind there?
So there's a scale of probability of what's behind there, right? Like there could be a clothes rack behind there, or there could be an inflatable Godzilla replica. Which one is more likely?
All right, and you've never seen this before.
Okay.
All right, and you're just gonna assume there's nothing there.
No, I'm just not going to assume that there's something magical there. Something that that's never been proven to exist. I'm not going to assume that that's what's there, right? If there's a door that I've never opened, I'm not going to assume that there's some something new, something novel to the world behind the door. I'm not going to assume that from the get-go. What you're talking about is a black swan fallacy, right? But we're not making that black swan fallacy. We're saying, hey, we've never seen a black swan, so the likelihood that there's a black swan behind there is lower than if there's a white swan behind there. You understand the difference there?
The probability that you say is the probability of experience. It's not the absolute probability. The absolute probability is also unknown to us.
Yeah, but I can grant you all the unknowns, but then you're throwing a known in when you're. Yeah, I don't understand how you can say that we don't know anything, but you're claiming in a known as well because you know there's a God.
So this extends to the creation of the universe, where if you open the door to see what created the universe, you could say you don't know. But it's probably not nothing, you know.
Yeah, but that's not really. That's a cosmology problem we were talking about earlier. It's not really an atheist problem.
All right, and then what would it be?
Well, my position is that I haven't been provided with convincing evidence. So I fault the apologist, I fault the preacher, I fault the priest, I fault the rabbi and the imam, and all the way up the chain to God because they haven't convinced me.
Can we just real quick? I want to say night, Mike. If you're stepping out, love you, babe.
Sorry, what?
Speed said that they were gonna bounce in the private chat. Yeah.
You got.
So Origins TV asked, "What is supernatural atheism supposed to mean?"
We're all supernatural.
I mean, you can technically be an atheist and believe in the supernatural. Atheism is just a position on one proposition, and that proposition is God exists, and the atheist says no. Doesn't matter. Like an atheist could believe in ghosts, goblins, ghouls, gremlins, just not God. So yeah, you could be an atheist and believe in supernatural stuff. You just don't believe that there are gods.
All right. So are you guys atheists or agnostic?
I am. Yes.
Okay, so you're atheist. So you believe God doesn't exist.
I believe there are no gods. That is correct.
All right. So can you give me your proof? It's not possible.
I don't need to provide proof for that claim.
I believe AI said that he was going to provide the proof today. So go ahead.
I think all he's given us is absence of evidence is all the claim is.
Is that there's no evidence going either way. So,
well, for many years I've used the argument right back that Bigfoot created the universe, prove that Bigfoot didn't do it. By the way, if you like Bigfoot, get yourself a Bigfoot shirt at Bree's Hive Size store. Link in the description. Nice shirts. I got my shirt on. You should have one too. And while you're down there, like, subscribe, and check out all the other links in the description. Appreciate it very much.
All hail the lobster god.
There is evidence for atheism.
Okay, can you provide that evidence to me?
For atheism. So for me, I think that a good reason to believe in atheism is, well, number one, I think the success of empirical science is a good reason to. If God-like things did exist and acted in the world, why can we not observe or see that anyway? And one might respond with saying, oh yeah, but these things can't be understood through science. Okay, sure, then that's just a point against them. I think the fact that religious belief is incongruent across space and time, at different time periods and in different cultures from different areas of the world, religious beliefs have varied drastically. Even within religious traditions like Christianity, beliefs can vary quite drastically. There's a pretty stark difference between a Catholic and a Mormon, and this just doesn't seem like what we would expect if there was a God. God desires for meaningfully communicating himself or some will to us, that it would be this just dispersed in so many different ways with so many different beliefs, even within certain religions. And so I think that right off the bat, those are two good reasons to suppose gods don't exist, just broadly.
Now, Leo, while you're on it, we got a question from Origins TV. I'd love an atheist to provide evidence for positive atheism.
That's
Never
literally what
seen
Leo
a
was
good
just
argument.
doing.
Yeah, Leo was pretty much addressing that. And again, the positive atheism, I would say that one of my stances is that all supernatural claims are equal in their validity. So if you're going to say it's a god, or if you're going to say it's a palm reader, or if you're going to say you read it in your tea leaves, I give them all the same amount of validity. That some people believe in these things, but that's as far as it goes, and nothing is demonstrable to the satisfaction of convincing me that you can read my future from looking at my tea leaves. Although I do enjoy having my tea, I don't see any message in there. So,
right.
So I remain
the previous
unconvinced.
person who said they have two reasons why atheism, would they have proof for atheism? Well, the first one was that you haven't seen God. You haven't seen God in time and space. That's how would you have proof for his absence if you haven't seen him? That doesn't make sense.
We don't have to see things to see their effects, right? I don't see the effect. What I'm getting is the Frank Turek argument that God exists outside our universe, outside of our time, outside of our dimension, outside of everything. So for all intents and purposes, it doesn't exist as far as materializing in our universe.
So
if it's out there, okay, it's out there. You know, fine. I can't argue it. If you're going to make up something that exists outside of our universe, and that's where it exists, okay, I'll grant you that. But I don't see it coming into this universe. Go ahead, Leo.
The first point that I was getting at on a more complex level is effectively just an argument against miracles. And that where I believe, and I think I can establish pretty well, that miracles are nomologically impossible, and that nomological impossibility is all that one needs to argue that these events do not occur in the actual natural world. And then I think that's reason to suppose that there are no supernatural things altogether, let alone just gods.
All right. Yeah, we could argue that I can probably argue that, but is that where I don't think the conversation should go there necessarily. I think the main point is that you can't prove anything else, right? So
I don't need to prove things. I just need to provide a sufficient level of evidence to convince somebody.
To convince somebody, yeah, sure.
If that's what I'm trying to do, or a sufficient level of evidence to warrant my own belief in these things.
I need evidence that the company that makes my chair has engineered it to hold a certain amount of weight, and that when I sit on it, it's going to support my weight. And I also rely on regulations by the government to make sure that they're following the rules of their production, to make sure when it puts a sticker on it that says it'll hold this much weight, that it does. All these things can be empirically tested. It doesn't mean that I have to do it every time I sit down in my chair.
That's assuming you want your chair to be stable.
Yes.
So it's not absolute.
It's as close as we can get. Nothing is absolute. I mean, I could sit in my chair and it could break. Things break. Things happen, right? My previous chair, as soon as I bought it, the air, what do they call it? The cylinder, makes it go up and down. Mm-hmm. It went out. And I said, hey, company, I just bought this chair. And they said, hey, we'll send you a new cylinder, right? So they sent me a new cylinder. And I'm guessing they probably had a problem because it wasn't a question or anything. They just probably had a problem with those cylinders. Get this customer a new cylinder, right? And they were confident by sending me this other one that it was probably a replacement item because they had a problem with the other ones. And then I put that onto my chair, and then my chair worked again, because I have a certain amount of confidence in the engineering all the way back, even though I got a dud, because sometimes things break. But you don't, it's when you get in your car, you're going to have confidence that it's going to run, right? Even though you could get halfway down the road and it could break down and it doesn't run anymore.
Yeah, that's
you have a certain amount of confidence in that, and that is what I would call proofs that it's been proven that if everything's working, your chair will hold you up and your car will roll down the street.
Yeah, that's a good way to test something for us as humans, to see it again and again work before, but it's not proof. It's not absolute proof. You're not going to find that. It's,
Is this the Hume's problem of induction is what you're hung up on?
No, I don't think so.
I can get to my conclusion whenever you guys want.
Oh, well, we've been waiting, so let's do it.
Yeah, you've really offered.
Go ahead.
I've said like 3 times now that proof isn't required, and you keep going on about proof when proof isn't required. So I don't know what you're doing.
Yeah, I'll just get to my conclusion. So if it's all imaginary anyways, if you're gonna say, yeah, your reality is imagination. I mean, you don't know what's going on outside of that, because we can't understand absolute reality. Me saying, my God,
absolute reality.
Yeah, I think we can all pretty much agree on what reality is. We can all go outside right now and turn on our phones and all agree that there are streets and houses and trees and all these kind of things. I think we can come to a consensus on what reality is.
So that's called intersubjectivity, which is where you have like a collective of like conscious or something. Like collective conscious, one of those two. I don't remember.
That's the collective consciousness is not what
that's how we.
Activity is.
Well, I mean, to arrive at anything, we have to come together as by consensus to agree on things, right?
Yeah, sure. I don't know who this together is. It's like people are isolated as well. They're different parts of the world. But
yeah,
but humans have a variety of shared experiences. Like if I held up this lighter and I said this is a blue lighter, I don't think there's a single fucking person on this panel that's gonna go, it's yellow.
Yeah.
So what?
I'm not disagreeing with that, but there's an added.
And that's even with our cones all being different, us seeing different shades of blue. We're still gonna,
I know.
Still gonna interpret that color. Yeah.
Yeah, but even after all that, there's an added layer of you perceiving them telling you that they saw that thing.
Yeah, that's how technology works. We can take our voice, turn it into electricity.
No, that's not what I mean. So you both are confirming that you can see light from the sun. Them telling you, them confirming it to you is still perceived by you. So it's still imaginary to you.
No, it's not. Perception and imagination are not the same thing. Something isn't imaginary because it's perceived.
That's what subjectivity is about.
No.
Yes, it is. If you're perceiving it, it's perceived to you.
No.
Then what else would it be?
So subjectivity just refers to the concept of stance dependence.
Wait, sorry, it lagged. Can you say that again?
Subjectivity refers to the notion of stance dependence. So when I say that vanilla ice cream is my favorite flavor of ice cream, or if I say that more appropriately that vanilla ice cream is the best flavor of ice cream, that's a subjective statement because it isn't true independent of my opinion of it being true. And it might not be true for other people. So the truth of that statement is dependent on the stances of the agent. Does the agent agree with that or not? Something is objective if the truth it does not depend on the stances or the preferences, desires, goals of another agent. Like that the sun emits electromagnetic radiation. That the truth of that statement is not dependent on any agent stances, so it's objective.
Yeah.
That is the objective-subjective distinction.
Yes. And your opinion that you're perceiving them, or
Well, it's
your
not an
opinion
opinion that I'm perceiving anything. Perception would be much more basal to me having opinions than the other way around.
Okay. I forgot one word. It's subjective experience, not just subjective opinion. Your subjective experience includes your perceptions and senses.
Of course.
All right. So let me get to the conclusion. So if that's imaginary, anyways,
What
is
makes you
all
think
of
it's
our
imaginary?
reality.
I don't think it's
What?
imaginary.
Okay, so you think you're. So what do you think then?
I think a lot of things. I mean, you'd have to be specific.
So what do you think it is, if it's not
What
imaginary?
do I think what is?
Your subjective experience.
I think it's the result of a large and active metabolizing brain, and more broadly central nervous system, and the very vibrant reality into which it is submerged.
So that's a nice scientific explanation.
Yeah, it is.
Really is.
Yeah.
Nice work, Leo.
It's almost like science explains things.
Okay, we can get to science. Science is not absolutely true. And I'm not a science.
not.
Yeah, of course. So that's not an
Real quick,
absolute.
I have a question for you. Who is making the claim that things need to be absolutely proven or absolutely true? What are you talking about? Who's saying that?
Nobody else.
You're not even saying that your God is absolutely proven. So why all this talk about absolute proof when it's not about that?
Because atheism is a belief that God doesn't exist.
No, I don't believe God exists. That's different from a belief that God does not exist.
So
you say that God exists, you give me your evidence, and I go, I don't believe that. That's not convincing. And I do not adopt by default a belief in God. I think it's absurd to adopt supernatural explanations by default. You've got to show it. And when you show it and you do it effectively, I will have no choice but to believe it, because we don't choose our beliefs. We might choose the clubs we join, but we don't choose our beliefs. So go ahead and provide your absolute proof so that I can believe. Otherwise, I'm not going to believe because I can't.
If we weren't capable,
please proceed. Go ahead. I'm listening.
We want to believe. I think it'd be cool if there was gods and magic and shit. So please.
If we weren't capable of choosing our beliefs, we wouldn't have free will.
Yeah, we would.
Belief is not an act of will. You don't believe something is an act of will.
Beliefs in themselves are compelling, or truths are, and once you're convinced of the truth, you believe it. And I'm telling you, I don't believe it. Nobody has shown anything, any compelling arguments, compelling truths for me to believe something about. So please do what you said you were going to do. My hands are clasped, beating. Please prove absolutely that there is a God. Thank you. Go ahead.
Yeah, I'm getting to it, right? So
much foreplay.
Getting to it for 25 minutes.
I just want to say really quick, thank you, AI, because I don't remember the last time I've seen Scott so on fire about anything. It's wonder to behold. Scott, I love your passion, man. I love it.
Well, I just had two Benadryls wear off, so I've got energy now.
You're in trouble now. Go ahead, AI.
Yes. So my point is, I can claim God exists absolutely as much as atheists can claim that God can't.
That's not proof. That's not absolute proof. That's your affirmation of your belief. It's not proof. Please provide absolute proof. Would you do it, please, so that I don't go to hell if what you're saying is true? Of course, you may not personally believe in hell because there's 33,000 other beliefs that call themselves Christian or theist, but please provide me that absolute proof.
My absolute proof is that if all of your reality is your imagination, let me finish first. All right. If all of your reality is imagination, then if my reality is what my God of the Christian Bible, then if it's my imagination, so is yours. And that's all that we know reality to be. Then my God of the Christian Bible is reality.
Okay, so you can't provide absolute proof. Thank you for being here, but you didn't do what you said you would do. Does your belief in God? Does your belief in God include integrity?
Integrity to what?
The integrity of offering absolute proof, but not providing it, or providing something you're calling absolute proof. It's totally subjective for you, but it does me no good because I can't get inside your head and say, "Oh, God is absolutely true," or "God absolutely exists."
Yeah. You're condemning us to hell, basically. So can you please save us? Can you? Well, I mean, if you know, listen, if you know the secret to the existence of God, right, to give to so that we can be saved, and you're withholding it from us, I mean, please come forward with it. We need that information because we need to be saved, right? Let's
And I do want to apologize. I'm coming across too strong. For some reason, I felt very energetic about this topic. And it's probably the use of the word absolute and proof together. When we're having a philosophical discussion, talk of absolute proof is really does not really.
It doesn't exist.
That applies to formal systems and mathematics, not to philosophical, theological intercourse or discourse, shall we say. But I do apologize for coming across strong. I certainly don't want you to feel attacked in any way.
No, I don't feel attacked in any way.
Okay, so
all right,
is that all you got, really? Though, I mean, is that really it? Because I was advocating for you to come in here with this, and I was hoping it would be something substantial.
Yeah, okay. Listen, you wanted me to give some like historical evidence or evidence from the Bible, and then you guys would just disprove it automatically because you guys probably memorized the whole Bible and all of history. That's not how it's going to work, right?
Well, all right, then keep your secrets.
What are you talking about?
That was the Frodo Baggins quote.
Mm-hmm. And if we extend this idea, so if we're going for a slightly more logical definition of imaginary, which is that it does not actually exist in absolute reality, then you are also yet to prove that God doesn't exist.
But abstract. You're looking for the word abstract.
Sorry. Yeah, you're not yet to prove that God doesn't exist.
I don't need to prove that God doesn't exist. This is the fourth?
That's the claim of atheism. That's the claim.
It's not the claim.
Unless you're agnostic.
Okay, you're repeating yourself, and you've already said that
they can prove that God does not exist.
Sorry,
at best, an atheist will claim that they believe that God does not exist.
Sorry, can you just repeat yourself?
Me?
Yeah, there's many people talking at once.
I said it is not the claim of atheism or of atheists that they can prove that God does not exist. At best, an atheist will claim that they believe that God does not exist, like I do.
Yeah, so you believe. And I believe.
Yeah, I believe that I take it to be true that there is no God, yes.
So are we united in faith now?
What does that mean?
You have faith that God doesn't exist, and I have faith that He does.
What do you mean by faith?
You have your belief. You believe that He doesn't exist.
Yeah, well, belief and faith aren't the same thing. Those words are not synonyms.
Okay, so we're united in belief, sure. They're not synonyms, sure.
Yeah, so I believe that there are no gods.
And I believe there are. So it's just an argument of beliefs.
Okay, yeah. Yep, sure is. But I have good reasons for why I believe what I believe.
That God doesn't exist.
That's correct.
Can you...
I don't shared some already.
Proof of absence is pretty difficult, and I'm not sure how you're going to do that.
Well, it's actually not that hard at all. I could just run a modus tollens, and they would do exactly that.
If you haven't seen it, you can't prove it doesn't exist.
Yeah, you can.
No, I don't think so. I think you should be agnostic.
There's a whole rule of inference for doing so. in formal logic. It's called modus tollens, negating the consequent. Of the form, if A, then B, not B, therefore not A. Which would be proving a negative, a thing you can do. I don't know why people keep saying that you can't do this thing that you can do and that logicians have been doing for hundreds of years.
That's very sound logic, right? But
well, that would be a valid rule of inference. It's not sound unless I put something in for those variables and make it an argument. Like, if God exists, then evil does not exist. Evil exists, therefore God does not exist. That's a sound argument. Because it is valid, the conclusion follows from the premises, and the premises are in fact true.
or can you repeat that?
Yeah, if God exists, then evil does not exist. Evil exists, therefore God does not exist.
If God exists, then evil does not exist?
That's the first premise, yes.
God exists and evil exists.
No,
what?
That's not possible.
Okay, can you give me evidence for that? That's a very.
Because
I have not
evil
heard that.
evil is just going to be understood as that which ought not to be permitted, all things considered. And if God is morally perfect and all powerful, then he doesn't permit things he thinks he knows shouldn't be permitted. Unless you're claiming that God is not a rational being, in which case he's not all-knowing, in which case that's not God.
So, first of all, God did not create evil.
I never said anything about God creating evil.
All right, and he does not permit evil.
So he doesn't permit evil things to occur. That's what you're saying.
What God are you talking about? Because
no, he doesn't.
The God of the Bible.
Hold on.
The God of the Bible created evil. It's in Isaiah.
Well, but that's irrelevant to the argument that I'm running. You're saying God does not permit evil.
No.
So you just think that the Holocaust wasn't evil.
That's
in
not...
fact, nothing was evil. Because if God does not permit evil, then nothing that's ever happened in human history is evil. Like the genocide of 100 million Native Americans.
We're talking about permit differently. Permit as in allow or condemn.
Yeah, to allow something. To allow something to occur. To have reasons, or rather, no reasons to intervene and stop some event from happening.
I have the ability to stop it and not do it.
If I wake up and I see that my nephew is brushing his teeth, I have no reasons to intervene on that event's occurrence. Thus, I am permitting him to continue to do that.
Okay, and so...
Now, if I woke up and saw
I'll give you
him
another
murdering
example.
one of the cats, I would have a reason to intervene and prevent him from doing that thing. Therefore, I would not permit him to do it.
Okay, those are two. You're missing a third one. If somebody's... I'm just going to give you examples, not targeted towards you. If somebody's pointing a gun towards your head and they shoot you, did you permit them to shoot you in the head?
Did I do anything to stop it from happening?
But did you... No. Did you permit them to shoot you in the head?
Do I have supernatural powers to prevent it?
God doesn't have the power to prevent evil.
Wait, so first it's God doesn't permit evil, now God doesn't have the power to prevent.
You said God doesn't permit. Permit doesn't apply to this.
Yeah, it does.
No, it doesn't.
So you're saying God is not all powerful. That your particular God does not include omnipotence.
If God can't permit or not permit things, then it just sounds like God is an agent in your worldview.
He's all powerful, except for in the
but he's also morally perfect, right?
What'd you say?
He's also morally perfect, right?
That's kind of the definition of God, yes.
No, okay. So there's going to be things that God wants to happen and things God doesn't want to happen, right?
Sure.
And if the things that God thinks shouldn't happen, he has the power to stop them, that he would stop them, right? Because he doesn't want them to happen.
If he's able to.
Well, he's all powerful. Why wouldn't he be able to?
Except for against evil.
So God then God is not all powerful. If God can't can't stop things from happening that he doesn't permit to happen, then he's not all powerful. I don't know what it would mean to say God is all powerful.
And doesn't God write the rule books? Why does God write rules against itself of what it can't do? That doesn't make any sense.
And as a human, I've stopped evil things on more than one occasion. Does that mean I have more power than God?
No, it just means you're better than God.
Evil
You're
Do you have an iron
stop these things
chariot?
from happening, and an all-powerful being won't.
Wait, hold up. Somebody said they can stop you. Well, what do you think is evil as an atheist?
Well, but it's not, at least with respect to the argument from evil, it's not about what the atheist thinks evil is. It's an internal critique, so it's using your conception of evil.
Okay.
But there is a systematic definition of what things like good and evil are. Something is good if it ought to occur or ought to be permitted, all things considered, which just means that there are no overriding reasons that would otherwise stop you from doing it. And something is evil if it ought not to occur or ought not to be permitted, all things considered, that again meaning that you have no reasons to, or that you have reasons to prevent it from happening.
Yeah, this is given that people have a sense of what ought to occur and what ought to not.
Yeah, and God just doesn't allow things that he thinks ought not to occur. Otherwise, I don't know what it would mean for God to think they ought not occur if he doesn't stop them from happening.
No, I was saying given that people have an internal sense of what ought to happen and what not to.
What does that have to do with anything?
We were just building the conversation. I don't know what you mean.
Yeah, no, I'm showing you how it's not possible for there to be an all-powerful and morally perfect being, and there also exists evil, that is things that very same being thinks that they shouldn't be happening, like, say, the Holocaust. I mean, unless God thought that 12 million people should be brutally murdered. Effectively enslaved and brutally murdered. Did God think that should happen? Is that something God wanted to happen?
I'm not getting a very convincing argument here.
All right.
You're getting a lot of pushback, but not a convincing argument for God that the confidence level is dropping here. Go ahead, deconverted man. Hey, how you doing?
Yeah. Hi.
Go ahead.
Okay, so
give me your 5 cents.
Sorry, I just wanted to reset, if I may, to the initial claim made by AI. I just want to make sure I understood the claim, because it's somewhere in chat now buried. We'd have to scroll back and see it. Did you claim that you could provide absolute proof that God exists? Yes or no?
Yes, I did.
Okay, and then in this very talk that you had, you started with essentially saying that absolute proof isn't a thing. Is that correct? Yes or no?
Yeah.
Okay, so your claim that you had absolute proof of God was actually untrue because there is no such thing as absolute proof. Is that correct?
Yes.
Okay, so you came in lying.
I will say that I did, but
okay, bye.
No.
Thanks for playing, everybody. Yay! Ba, 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 ba. That's all I got. Bye.
See us next week, folks.
Yeah, he's a liar. I mean, that's all we need.
How much time do we give this ass hat if he's going to lie to us to our freaking faces?
Exactly.
Well,
no, I mean,
all right.
We gave him a fair shake. It's been about a half hour, and I'm sorry.
At least you're willing to admit that you're a liar. So
well,
that's why you're an atheist. There you go.
Well, you came on and you gave it a shot, and we'll give you that. But it's very unconvincing. Just saying, well, what I'm hearing is, well, you don't know everything, so you can't know everything, and it's like it's a bad argument. I've heard it before, and just saying that nothing is 100%. Well, we pretty much agreed. Nothing's 100%. Like I said. I could sit in my chair and it could break, okay? But odds are it's not going to break because companies that make chairs that break usually don't stay in business, or they have bad reviews all over the internet or something. And then there's reason people don't buy these chairs. So there's good reason that I have confidence in sitting in my chair. It's based on a lot of things, and so is as we granted earlier, you ultimately are just going to go back to a Bible or whatever religious text and we're going to say that's very weak and poor evidence. So this isn't proof. It isn't groundbreaking or anything. And, I appreciate your argument and everything, but I think we've pretty much gone through it. And we're going to get back to the show now. All right?
Two things before we jump back in really quick.
Go ahead, James.
Every time somebody mentions the Holocaust as an example of why would God permit it or would a good God permit it, it brings me back to this clip, this short video that Michael Jones produced about 2 years ago now. And I know I played it on a live stream. I just can't remember whose channel it was. Kicking myself, but I didn't save a copy of it, where Mike Jones specifically released a video short where the only topic was this. And he said, and this is a damn near perfect quote, I promise it is, the Holocaust, if you think about it, was a good thing, actually, because it brought many people to Christ.
Yeah.
It brought many what to where?
To Christianity. It brought many people to Christianity.
Well, it wasn't real popular to be Jewish, so that'd be a good reason. It's the only other reason I could think of.
Right. So my point in that is that there are Christians out there that will say, yeah, the Holocaust is a good thing. God had a reason for wanting it to happen, for allowing it to happen, because it was for a greater good. Therefore, you can't really say the Holocaust is evil. Therefore, God hasn't permitted evil.
And in God's Not Dead, they speculated maybe God made a covenant with somebody else. Right?
Right.
Maybe their good luck and good fortune when they had God's grace because they had a covenant with God. They had a deal with God. God was going to watch out for God's chosen people, return them home, and all those good things.
There is.
But what happens if God makes a covenant with somebody else, right?
Your contract expired, and he went with another agency.
Yeah.
There is another way to go about it. I thought about switching to that makes the problem sort of a little bit easier to understand. Imagine you have some guy walking down the street and he notices that somebody is rape seating a woman behind a dumpster. And he sees that it's happening and he's like, oh no, somebody should stop that. And we're not talking about just some guy. I mean, we're talking about this guy's, ex-Marine, 2 tours in Iraq, badass motherfucker. And he doesn't do anything to stop it. We'd all agree that he did a bad thing. That's a bad thing. Why the fuck would you do that? Right? Am I right?
Yeah.
I hope I'm right. Now, just replace that person with God. Is God bad because he didn't stop that? And of course they're going to answer, well, no, he's not, because he doesn't ever stop any of the rape seeding that goes on. So why does God get off the hook? How come that big bad Marine not stopping it? How come he's bad? That was a bad thing, but God gets off the hook. It makes no sense.
Right. Yeah.
Because God is all powerful.
Yeah. All powerful and chooses not to intervene.
I am not that dark.
There we are, animated.
Sure, why not?
I am not that dark. And James is not that yellow.
Jaundice James.
Jaundice James. I like it.
Boy, that panel is very.
What's that say below my name? Philosophy Gangster. Oh, I'm changing it to that now. Philosophy Gangster. You goddamn right.
Mine says you beard, whale. Bro. It says you whale.
Okay, we're gonna get back to Todd. Sorry, AI, but that was very weak.
You/whale. That's.
I think this meme in here is more convincing of a god than your argument was. So. And
Dave, you look like a freaking Futurama character. Who's entranced under
Hypnotoad.
All hail Hypnotoad. Don't get me started. My son has that show memorized. Every time
Scott looks like that shop teacher that knows how to like do literally anything like with his hands. Like he could build a house. But he's kind of cranky, you know. But if you stay after school and you help him on the project, you get to see his good side. You know what I'm talking about? Looks fucking exactly like that.
And he flies a kite.
I don't know who that's supposed to be underneath James.
That's where Speed was, right?
Yeah,
Was it?
Speed got a phone call, so something was
de-aged by like 90
Definitely.
years here.
The image was in sepia tone, I think, so it just like decided that he was brunette.
I think that the way that this AI represented me is kind of racist, if I'm being honest here. I really feel like this is not acceptable at all.
I like the chin hair. It's a lot thicker.
I look like I talk like this. This is not acceptable. I'm going to start management on you.
James Apperson is yellow, so he can come into the convenience store.
Speed and James are both yellow, so they're Simpsons characters. And me and you and Scott are Futurama characters. But we're doing like a crossover.
And I am just the Indian guy.
AI, thanks for stopping by. And
the guy shit in my curry.
We appreciate your involvement this evening and everything.
Thank you. Come again.
Come again.
We've dismissed your argument, so it is appreciated though. We gave it a shot. We did. And speaking of, we're going to go back to Todd now, and we're going to give Todd one more shot here this evening too.
One more shot, Todd. Don't disappoint us.
Yeah,
not disappoint, buddy Todd.
AI let us down, so now we're counting on Todd here.
Don't let me down.
His last name is Wiener, so I don't know if that adds or takes away from anything, but it is funny.
Find the difference between historical sciences, which involves theories, because we didn't observe them, and actual evidence that we have. So let's take a look at that.
Wow.
That is not a thing that exists.
Past what? No.
So, no, what he's trying to do is this thing that creationists do and have been doing for quite some time. Otangelo used to fucking rant and rave on this. Is they draw this false distinction between historical science and operational science.
Yeah.
Now, I can't remember right off the top of my head how it is exactly that they define either of these, but this is not a distinction that you find anywhere in the philosophy of science. Absolutely nowhere.
Ken Ham uses it. It's operational or observable. That means only in real time. That's what they mean. So anything not in real time you can't accept. However, Ken Ham also has a former forensics expert on staff at AIG. So explain that one. She wasn't there, right? She was not there. She did not observe any of it. Yet she managed to do forensic science. So, yeah, you don't have to be there.
Forensic science, which is just historical science, which is just theory. It's just a story.
If it happened yesterday, it's not science. It has to be in the here and now.
For brevity's sake, I am calling these the GOAT.
The
I gotta go tend to my goats.
We got the Theistic Debate Challenge. Oh, boy.
I'll debate this guy. Where do I find him?
He's all over Facebook. He's got a thing on Facebook, I guess. So,
where'd you get this video?
That must be there's a link in the description down there at the bottom, Leo, for the original video. You can get to his channel.
But was it posted on YouTube, or did you get the video off Facebook?
Yeah, it's YouTube.
Okay.
But in the first video at the very beginning, he was talking about something, and it sounded like he does most of his discussions on Facebook. He was in one of the creation versus evolution channels too. I saw that in one of the videos. So he seems to run around on Facebook.
What do you know what his Facebook name is, or what I would search?
It's Todd Wiener, as far as I know.
How do I spell that? Like the word wiener?
W-I-E, or is it W-E-I? Do they screw it up? W-E-I? And he's got his channel there that he keeps talking about, the Alpha Z Millennial Omega whatever channel or something. I'm sure he puts the links in the description, he said, Leo. So if you just go to his channel, you'll find everything.
How the
fuck? Challenge, I call this. Present, and this is the proposition. And if you know someone who's willing to take me up on this proposition, let me know. Give me a
down there.
Give me a ring.
There he is.
Present scientific data points toward a supernatural creator being the best explanation for the origin of the universe and intelligent life.
Present scientific data points toward a supernatural creator being the best explanation for the origin of the universe and life. Okay, I haven't seen that. Maybe what they call science at ICR or something, but nope.
And here's
public group
point that I defined
members.
as
yeah,
that relates to Tyson's comment.
Okay.
Now, I chose the wording point towards to preempt another stratagem used by my atheist friends who employ an empirical definition of science to exclude theism. But the beginning of the universe...
What?
Well,
good night, Scott.
Science is empirical.
All right, Scott.
Later, Scott.
Well, again, he's excluding theism. Again, the science isn't excluding theism because you can discuss things like, geography and places and rivers and all that kind of stuff. But the supernatural doesn't have a place in science because there's not a way to test it. And I've put it on to several apologists that they say, well, the scientific method isn't good for testing the supernatural. Well, then you need another method.
That's just a point against the supernatural. Like, okay, that just makes me even more leery of the concept itself. I can't measure it and understand it and define it.
Yeah, I'm not really sure what the concept is. Leo, have you ever had a theist give you a good explanation or a definition for what supernatural means?
Non-natural entities.
So my problem with that is it's just to tell me something's not natural only tells me what it isn't. It doesn't tell me what it is.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm.
It just seems like it's not meaningful to me.
Who's lighting up?
I would do no such thing.
Somebody
was a one-time, unobserved historical event. Naturalism and supernaturalism are equally unscientific because neither side can replicate something coming from nothing in a lab experiment.
No.
Okay. Something from nothing in a lab. How are you supposed to do a lab experiment with nothing?
That'd be one powerful vacuum, I'll tell you.
Well, it doesn't make any sense. This is the argument that, well, if scientists create life in the lab, then you're still just going to prove that you needed a creator, right? That there's nothing you can possibly do in a lab to convince these people. And why they're arguing against it, it's always mind-boggling. But they're equally unscientific because neither can replicate something coming from nothing. Well, that's not a scientific argument, and I think he was pretty much arguing against ex nihilo earlier, wasn't he? So he's again, you're losing me, Todd. I don't know what direction you're coming from.
It is true that neither theism nor naturalism are scientific ideals. They're both metaphysical theses.
And Jackie, you're not missing much.
Science can include it in both, but I think that science fits more comfortably in naturalism, because naturalism doesn't need to suppose the existence of any sort of other dissimilar ontologies that science can't reach out to and discover. Whereas within naturalism, that natural world, science has complete access to.
Well, that's what he puts in quotes, is inference to the best explanation. Well, yeah, that's kind of a good thing, right? Why is that in quotes? You know, so like kind of separate it. Well, yeah, to the best explanation. That's always a good idea, to determine which theory best explains the observed facts of science. Well, see, he's misusing theory too in this.
Mm-hmm.
Because theory in science is once you've already reached a certain level. You don't have a whole bunch of them just floating around out there. This is a layman's word for theory too. So I don't like this paragraph at all. Sorry, Todd.
Therefore, and here's the point, and this is the point if I had an opportunity to talk to Tyson, I would bring up this very point up. Therefore, both sides must use the scientific reasoning called inference to the best explanation to determine which theory best explains the observed facts of science.
Yes.
So,
and that's what a scientific theory does. It explains a aspect of the natural world. So that's what it does.
Closing, both sides, atheism and theism, are arguing from the same scientific facts, the data that we do have, like the beginning of the universe, the fine-tuning of the universe. These are facts that we can observe, we can evaluate.
They are not facts.
How did he observe the fine-tuning of the universe? Were you there, Todd?
We can see them in some sense or another. We both have the same facts. We come to different conclusions. So I hope you can accept that idea, even if you don't agree with theism, and give theism a fair shake, so to speak, instead of misrepresenting it, if you do. Some atheists don't. Many atheists, are very fair about this. But unfortunately, by and large, the new atheists aren't. I see Richard Dawkins, I see all the other top atheists use the same.
Richard Dawkins
he's a new atheist?
He's a top atheist. We got tiers now too, by the way.
We got
what tier am I on? I need to know.
And Andrew Tate, you want to be a top atheist? I want to be a top atheist.
I know, is it like karate belts? You get a different color or something, or?
Oh, can I have a pink belt then?
There you
I
go.
want to be a 5th degree top atheist.
Type of argument that Tyson used. It's a straw man.
Tyson did not use a straw man. He laid out that it doesn't make sense to him that an all good, powerful God would let bad things happen. He doesn't need anything else. Okay, to him, seeing awful things in the world convinces him that there cannot be a good God. I don't see how that's a straw man.
No, it's not.
Not a straw man? Okay. Sorry, Todd. That's not a straw man. Okay. A lot of things you said was a straw man, but what he said was not a straw man. And you bring up straw men a lot, and that's why I thumbnailed this with the straw man. I don't think you understand what a straw man is, Todd.
And it's an aggravating straw man to boot.
No, it's not.
Although I like him as a person, I don't like him in this realm where he misrepresents and does.
You just didn't like it because he was talking about God. That's all. You were fine with him talking about science, and he mentioned something about God. And he hurt your feelings. All right. Well, okay, but what he said wasn't a straw man, Todd. You're misrepresenting him. So.
Doesn't give us a fair shake with the public. So anyway, if you like this video, please hit the like button and subscribe if you haven't already, and share this channel with someone you think might be benefited, because our aim is simply to give both sides, atheists and theists, the best arguments the other side has to offer. What's wrong with that? That's the scientific method. All right.
The scientific method is giving the sides from atheists and theists. Okay. Wow. No. No.
Is it thunderstorming where somebody's at on here?
I don't hear any thunderstorms.
I didn't hear it here, but it could have been something. I got big dogs. Sometimes they thump.
Is that a metaphor?
A metaphor for what?
Big dogs like your feet?
Oh.
No, I got big dogs. I got labs. They're my Bigfoots. I've got a sign on my fence that says "Property protected by Bigfoot," and it ain't lying. My dog's got big feet. They step on your foot, it hurts.
Well, you all have a good day, and we'll see you in the next video. Bye-bye.
Hope not.
Well, sorry, Todd. That was 2 for 2. And he's got a thing for Tyson.
Hello, everyone. Welcome to Mission Millennial Z Alpha Generations.
There it is. Mission Z Alpha Generations. I think he's trying to sound neato cool or something. I don't know.
He's saying, hey there, fellow kids.
But a way to be neato cool is fixing yourself a little bit better in the frame there, Todd. I didn't do this intentionally or nothing. He's got himself all cut off and crooked, and I don't know what the heck he's doing there, but
I feel like
where we share the other side of the creation story with today's youth. Now, today's episode is called Closed-Minded Atheist and Theist.
You guys hear me?
And I'll explain what I...
Yep.
Yes.
Okay. I was trying to say something. I thought my mic must have been muted. I don't know.
No, I forgot. God damn it.
Son of a bitch.
Is it about Todd's not being centered there?
No. Oh, no. It was about the thing that he named his whole, I don't know. I feel like he's trying to be like Elon Musk. You know, this X, Ash, Omega, Archangel bullshit.
Yeah.
Just sounds weird as shit.
Well, he's like trying to appeal to the youth, and I want that was my question: does he think it sounds cool or something?
Yeah, we're the ones grooming the children, right?
Yeah, the Alpha Z Omega generational, whatever. It's like he's very proud of it. He repeats it a lot. I'll give it to him. He plugs the name of his channel a lot.
Gotta be a mouthful.
If you look here, you'll see Neil deGrasse Tyson. I think that's his name. I'm starting to watch his videos a lot, and I'm actually posting his videos on my Facebook group because I find him an interesting scientist.
We just saw you do that.
Sort of like Michio Kaku. I like his personal
Leo
style
don't like
and the
him.
facts that he shares. Very interesting. But anyway, here he has a T-shirt holding it up.
Yeah, well, Leo, I agree with Mitzio's kind of out there on some things, but Neil's all right. Seems like a nice guy. He's always kind of jovial and everything. So
I'm assuming that's him, but regardless if that's AI or not, the point still is often used that's embodied here on this T-shirt. If you can disprove evolution, why not report your findings and collect your Nobel Prize? Good question. Well, I like to interact on these groups, and here's what I said. And let's see if we can get them up here. And over here on the right-hand column, if you can read it.
Any guess what he's going to say? According to my poll, 64% say in response to what does an atheist mean to you is dismissing all God claims. I didn't get no hits on dismiss all supernatural claims. And we've got the rest at 33% dismiss some of above. So 67% say an atheist dismisses all the God claims. Here we go. Trying to do polls, Bree. Trying to do polls. I was trying to remember to do a poll, so I did a poll. And there's an answer if AI is still out there. That's why I did the poll. So there you go.
It says, this is my comment to this t-shirt here. You can't be serious. It's a documented fact that cancel culture academia blacklists even the most benign intelligent design papers. I mean, really benign.
All right, well, that was my guess. I hope it was your guess, too, that, well, it's all a conspiracy, right? So there it is. The reason that you can't disprove evolution is because if you bring forth any evidence, there's a conspiracy against it.
That are, some of these intelligent designers aren't Christians, they're just theists, right?
Yeah. It's still the same arguments, though.
These peer-reviewed journals are run by naturalist ideologues, pure and simple. And as a point of fact, that is true, by and large. Very few exceptions that I know of.
No, you don't know a lot.
It's all a conspiracy. Yeah. This is like the Hawaiian shirt guys saying they have the evidence. It's buried under the Smithsonian, right?
So Mike Smith responds, so you can't disprove it? And this is what I said to Michael Smith. Let's scroll down a little bit. I just posted a 20-minute debate speech disproving atheism yesterday and written tracts disproving Darwinian evolution via the mechanism of natural selection working on random mutations. I can send it to you at your request. I should change that, or you request, but I meant to say at your request. And then...
Yeah, I looked for that. I couldn't find it. But some of this stuff, like Mike said earlier, it was posted a while ago. So who knows? It could be scrolling for all day, going backwards through Facebook. I don't know how much stuff he has. So, but I did look a little bit. I don't know what he's talking about.
And Ben responds, the ideologues are the ideas. They have no scientific framework to even evaluate their flimsy conjecture. Now, what's happening is you'll find this a lot, just a lot of bare assertions that people make on the internet. They'll make these bare assertions and they don't feel like they have to give proof. And that's not good. And so...
Well, this is weak too. I mean, this is like explain all of biology to me in a Facebook post, right? I run into this a lot. I don't know how many times deferred them to a Yale University course where you can take it for free, 30-some lectures on evolution. And all you hear back is, I'm not watching 30-some lectures. It's like, yeah. Mm-hmm. So you don't want an answer. You just want some little argument in a Facebook post is all you want.
Oh, let's see. I replied to him, and this is what I had to say. And this gets to the crux of my point here. This is a brief video.
Come on, Todd, bring it on.
There's really not much to say here. Then this is me responding to Ben's saying that we are really the ideologues. And I said, then why is it that we want the public, if we're the ideologues, why is it that we want the public to hear the best arguments from both sides so they can decide for themselves which view better explains something coming from nothing?
All right, well, first of all, this is something you're aiming at children, and this is something creationists do. They want children to decide which is the best science, okay? And this is ridiculous, okay? The adults decide, and preferably some educated adults on these boards decide what are the good textbooks, what has the good information in it. You have peer review and all the good things that go along with this to have the most accurate information given. It's not, do you have to pick a side, okay? We've said often, you can be a scientist and be a Christian. You can do science all week long and go to church on Sunday. There's not a problem. You're trying to set up that there's a problem, but there's not a problem, okay? You can do good science. The problem with the creationists is they're not offering good science. There is a few, and I see, hello, Creation Myths. Good to see you. I know Dr. Dan and Dr. Joel both cover stuff that, yeah, there are believers that submit scientific papers. But if it's not a good scientific paper, you're out of luck. It doesn't matter what your faith is. This is setting up a bit of a straw man, Todd.
Instead of someone deciding for them. Sounds like indoctrination to me.
It sounds very odd when you want to offer odd things in school as an alternative to let children decide which one is right or not. It's, this could be applied to any class. Should the children be allowed to decide what are nouns and verbs, right? It's just, you're getting a little silly, Todd. And I see where it's coming from. This is the creationist mantra from all of them. And I shoot back that you're just using your belief in your creation myth. If you wanted to teach hundreds or thousands of religions to actually teach all these other so-called sides, it would not be possible to do for them to cover in school. It's just not. You have scholars that spend their whole lifetime studying religions, and they don't know anywhere near about all the religions. It's just impossible to do, Todd. So this argument, and I've heard a lot from Ken Ham and all the rest of, we just want our side. And it's like, well, then you can let in a lot of other sides with a lot of people with a lot of beliefs and a lot of religions. But it doesn't belong in, first of all, science class. And if it is included in anything, it would be in a history, social studies, social science class, something like that, where it belongs and not taught as science. Finally, you've been to court over this a couple times, Todd. The creationists lost. The determination was, you have not presented science. You've presented your religious beliefs, and they don't belong in the science classroom. So you failed on many, and I'm not just picking on Todd, talking about all his peers. You have failed to get your stuff into academia because it's not good.
And so this is my point, is that if you're closed-minded, you will only allow one side to be given. And that's pretty much what's happening in these scientific journals. If you want to watch a video that gives you an entree into what I'm talking about, watch Expelled, No Intelligence Allowed.
Oh my. If you haven't seen Expelled, it's terrible. I thought Ben Stein was like a smart fella, he's often portrayed as a very smart fella, and he was on that game show with Jimmy Kimmel, and I was like, well, this guy's pretty smart. When you see him in Expelled, he doesn't sound so smart. And it turns
Win Ben
out,
Stein's money?
Yeah, Win Ben Stein's money, yep. And then it turned out they also did a lot of editing of that movie and a lot of other things. And I think it's Dawkins, or yeah, Dawkins didn't know what he was going into. He thought it was just an interview or something. Anyway, Expelled is dishonest, okay? It is dishonest top to bottom. Sorry, Todd. And yes, I've seen it.
That is a very good documentary movie
No.
to watch. And
No,
there's
it's not.
plenty other videos.
Now, see, and this, I got a problem, Todd. You're aiming this at people, and especially the youth, and telling them this is a great documentary. There's many reviews out about it where you'll find out that it was very dishonest. This is not something to recommend.
Too, that prove the point that atheistic academia they're the hen guarding the hen house, so to speak. I mean, the fox guarding the hen house, I meant to say. They're the fox who are given the right to decide what is right and what is wrong. But that's not the scientific method. The scientific method is to check out all hypotheses, right?
And they do. One of the ideas being pushed by Expelled is that scientists lose their jobs if they try to do some new thing or a new experiment or explain something differently or something. Pressure came down on Mary Schweitzer with her whole thing with the soft tissue and everything. And then the creationists were firing back, well, she just doesn't want to lose her job. And it's like, well, I got news for you. Mary Schweitzer has tenure. She's not going to lose her job. And a lot of these professors, guess what? They're not going to lose their jobs. It doesn't matter what they say. You've got to really do some messed up stuff to lose your tenure, okay? So this whole conspiracy thing doesn't fly, especially if the ones involved in the conspiracy are giving people tenure.
So, let's see what else I said here. Yeah, that's pretty much all I said. He didn't reply to that yet. But, so, and could you imagine, look, getting back to Tyson's T-shirt here, and that might not even be him doing that. That could be AI doing that billboard there with him showing it. But it's something he would say, by the way. I watch him a fair amount now, and that's something he does say. But if you could you imagine the Chinese government say, if democracy is so good, why hasn't our top echelon political party, the Communist Party, how come we haven't adopted it?
Yeah, I've heard this a couple times, and it just hurts my brain every time I hear it. I have no idea what he's trying to compare this to. None whatsoever.
I mean, that's kind of silly, right? You
Yeah,
think that would be
very silly.
something that anyone could see through. So my point is, not all atheists are
silly.
closed-minded. Many of them are open-minded, and they wouldn't write something like this. They would laugh at this T-shirt. And I see atheists.
No, I've said this very thing. Often, like over on Donnie Deal's channel or something like that. This was like, look, I don't care what you say, okay? This is the basis of all of modern evolution. It's used in modern medicines. Evolutionary models might have cured you or a loved one, okay, without you even knowing it, all right? If you can disprove it, why wouldn't you go and disprove it? You would be famous. You can get a lot of money from a Nobel Prize. I think it's like $1 million, right? That's a nice payday. It's a legitimate thing, and I've said it. If you can disprove it, then do it. Why are you making videos on YouTube, right? Even if you do really well on YouTube, I mean, making $1 million is pretty hard to make on YouTube, right? You got the answers. There it is. Go collect your Nobel Prize. And the idea that science is going to dismiss something new and revolutionary or anything that you have all the evidence for is right back to your conspiracy and right back to Expelled and all the other ones that have said it, where there's a conspiracy, people have been fired and everything. And these stories have been chased down, by the way. And none of the people that they claim in any of these so-called documentaries that have been fired supposedly for doing their science were done because of that. The one claim said they were fired for doing their science when they were in another professor's lab and they were saying something to students when they weren't supposed to. And another one was doing something in their classroom or something, and they basically weren't getting their lesson plan. You know, they weren't getting what they were paid for, right? And it was a problem. And some of these other ones just had, you know, getting fired problems. Absolutely none of them were fired because they said, oh, I'm a Christian. It doesn't happen. You're being dishonest, Todd, and so are all these organizations and Ben Stein and all the rest of them that push this. It does not happen.
Atheist theists who post similar things that I laugh at because it doesn't make any sense. So, but I have to be honest and say most atheists take this tack, or majority of them anyway. And I would say majority of theists take the tack that both sides should be heard. They subscribe to the scientific method of inference to the best explanation. And in order to find out what the best explanation is, you got to be willing to hear all of them and then test it out. See which one makes more sense. Which one makes more sense of how do we get something from absolute nothingness? So anyway, if you want to watch more videos related to this, please visit my...
All right, Todd.
Absolute nothingness. Is he talking about philosophical nothingness? Yeah.
Yeah, they're back to the nothing argument. Atheists believe everything is nothing. That's why we're supernatural, because it's a supernatural belief that everything came from nothing. Life came from nothing.
Tsunami came from nothing.
Tsunami came from nothing. Yep. How you doing, Tsunami? Good to see you. And yeah,
she just popped into existence right now.
Yeah, a bunch of other ones. Yeah, Kian and X Music, and of course, Creation Myths. Everybody, make sure you're subscribed to Creation Myths with Dr. Dan over there. Good stuff. And I think I said hey to Jackie. If not, hi. Lots of folks coming through tonight. Lots of chats. Appreciate everything. And you know what? We went through 3 videos, which is pretty good for Saturday Night at the Atheist, because I don't think we've ever done that before. So,
especially without us going for 6 hours, because you've only been going for 3 hours tonight.
I know. That's what I say. I usually go for 3 hours, and the 3 hours is about up. But I did want to include one more thing. So I'm going to fast forward a little bit, because I think it's the next video, or maybe the next. But anyway, he did a little something dishonest, and unfortunately, Simos, I had this set up for Simos, and unfortunately, he still feeling a little under the weather and couldn't join us tonight. We do hope you're feeling much better soon, Simos. I know it sucks when you got that lingering thing. This has been bugging him for like over a week, so that's a real drag, and we hope you're all feeling better here soon. And we often cite Peter Atkins here. Simos and I both kind of like Peter Atkins' attitude. And he brings up a Peter Atkins thing, and I wanted to show that part because I found it to be troublesome and very dishonest. And we're going to skip up to it. I always have extra videos just in case. I never know how long we're going to go. Usually we only get through one video, so getting through 3 videos is very impressive. But
like I said, I'm not always here, so when Mom is here to keep you on track.
I know, you're doing an awesome job. Thank you very much.
Well, I'm actually the one who invited the theist in to cause trouble and raise some mayhem. So,
and well, yeah, we gave him a shot. Todd just mentioned hearing the other side, so to speak. We gave him a shot. And Deconverted Man was all over the chat saying, I want to hear this. I want to hear this. So, yeah, we gave you a shot. We gave you a good 30 minutes. And most of that you were kind of repeating yourself. So, but yeah, we gave it a shot here at Saturday Night at the Atheist. And we've had a few other people we've engaged with as well here. We don't shy away. We've had questions come through and everything. That's all good. And if you appreciate that, make sure you go down below, hit that subscribe with a bell, and get notified every Saturday when we gather here at 5 p.m. Eastern. And while you're down there, make sure you get into the description. There's a bunch of links for the people on the panel and for Bree's merchandise and her channel And Joe, the Kentucky Atheist, that's big involved in the protests this summer, his links and his affiliation link is down there with the discount code. Lots of good stuff in the description. Make sure everybody check the description before you check out, okay? Appreciate it very much. So I want to scoot to this little part and then we'll wrap things up here. As soon as I find it. Here it is. Okay.
Let's watch the debate between Peter Atkins and William Lane Craig, where they get into this. William Lane Craig is a very good Christian apologist. His YouTube channel, Reasonable Faith, is something you should subscribe to and listen to his videos. You'll see that I feature a number of my videos, his videos, in my on my channel. In my playlist, you'll see a number of his videos that he's that good. So we'll let this play out itself without comment. So let's watch it now. That very debate we led off with this video with in the introduction.
The reason why people believe, desperate to believe, together with the fact that you don't need actually a God, in a sense, amounts to an argument against the existence of God.
Well, I guess I don't see that. I mean, why doesn't that commit the genetic fallacy of trying to say that by explaining how a belief originates, you thereby show the belief to be false? Even if it were true that belief in the existence of God were the product of fear and anxiety and so forth, which I don't for a minute admit, but even if it were, that's simply a genetic fallacy to say that because that's the way the belief originates, therefore the belief is false.
But that's only one half of the argument. I'm not saying that that alone is adequate, and I'm not saying that the fact that science can account for everything, it alone is also adequate. But taken together, the fact that science is omnipotent, and the fact that I can understand why people like you desperately want to believe in God. That is an argument against the existence of God.
But two fallacious arguments put together don't make a sound argument, right?
But do you deny that science cannot account for everything?
Yes, I do deny that science.
So what can't it account for?
Well, had you brought that up in the debate, I had a number of examples that I was going to give. I think there are a good number of things that cannot be scientifically proven, but that we're all rational to accept. Let me list 5. Logical and mathematical truths cannot be proven by science. Science presupposes logic and math, so that to try to prove them by science would be arguing in a circle. Metaphysical truths, like there are other minds other than my own, or that the external world is real, or that the past was not created 5 minutes ago with an appearance of age, are rational beliefs that cannot be scientifically proven. Ethical beliefs about statements of value are not accessible by the scientific method. You can't show by science whether the Nazi scientists in the camps did anything evil as opposed to the scientists in Western democracies. Aesthetic judgments, number 4, cannot be accessed by the scientific method because the beautiful, like the good, cannot be scientifically proven. And finally, most remarkably, would be science itself. Science cannot be justified by the scientific method. Science is permeated with unprovable assumptions. For example, in the special theory of relativity, the whole theory hinges on the assumption that the speed of light is constant in a one-way direction between any 2 points A and B. But that strictly cannot be proven. We simply have to assume that in order to hold to the theory. So none of these beliefs can be scientifically proven, and yet they are accepted.
So
he played the little clip there with William Lane Craig, laying out, he's got these 5 things basically that science can't demonstrate. And then he ended the clip, and then he's going to go, well, aha, watch.
there you have it. That was one of the best discourses on scientism that you'll ever hear.
Scientism.
So I think it's safe to say scientism is not a good argument. Tyson's argument was not very good. It's surprising how many of my atheist friends use this scientism argument or some form of it.
I think he meant to say Atkins, but
all the time. I rarely see even top atheists not partake of that argument.
Top atheist. We're tiered.
Anyway,
Yeah, I know. We're tiered. We have clubs. He taught us all
Inner
kind of stuff
circles?
tonight, really. Yeah. Now, Bree's expecting a pink robe, and I want like a card or something because I wasn't aware of any of these things. But maybe Todd can get us on the list.
Mm-hmm.
But anyway, so I was trouble with this because again, he's trying to teach the other side, right? And he's got his millennial Z-force going because he's trying to appeal to the teens or something and think he's cool or something, whatever. And you know, again, it's free country. You want to evangelize or whatever, do your thing. You got a Facebook, you got a YouTube page. Knock yourself out, man. You can do all those things, all right? However, I find it dishonest with some of the tactics here, including this little bit right here, where you basically kind of just cut it off where, aha, look at William Lane Craig sure showed him, right? Now, I would like to show you that
if you like this video, please hit the like button.
Peter Atkins
if you disagree
did
with this video,
have a
please
response.
specify what you disagree with. It's not enough for a lot of my atheist friends out there to say, you know, you give no proof for what you're saying. That's fine.
You gave no proof for what you're saying, Todd. Sorry. We went through 3 of your videos, which again, I think that might be a record for us, or it might have tied the record or something. I'm not sure. Oh, and speaking of, we have been going more than 6 months now. I was going to count it up and try and keep track of which episode was 6 months, and we went right past it. So we're up to like a month past 6 months doing Saturday Night at the Atheist. So I want to thank everybody for joining all the weeks that we've been doing it, all the great panelists we've had, and all the great folks in the chat. Appreciate everybody. Really enjoy it, and I hope you've had a good time checking out these videos. So I want to finish up with giving Peter Atkins his chance to respond to this, which I suspiciously think Todd here used mischievously as to say, oh, look at William Lane Craig left him hanging, right?
Fine, but if you can show me counter arguments to what I am saying, I would appreciate it in the comments, and I'll respond. I try to respond as many as I can. This is a new channel, so I don't get a lot of comments, so I have time.
I left you a couple comments, Todd. I don't know if you responded because I didn't get a response, but Mike says 769 chats. Wow, that's awesome. Appreciate it, everybody.
And I try to make time to answer every single one. So you all have a good day, and we'll see you next time.
I don't think he's responded to me. They don't usually respond to me, though.
No.
Bye-bye.
Okay, now we're gonna let this run, and this is a lot better version. Todd, your audio quality, terrible. I mean, I think I found the video with your terrible audio quality, but the one right underneath it, lot better. Okay, lot better. So maybe look around a little bit. Okay.
Deny that science cannot account for everything.
Yes, I do deny that science.
So what can't it account for?
Well, had you brought that up in the debate, I had a number of examples that I was going to give. I think there are a good number of things that cannot be scientifically.
He's just going to repeat what he already said, but you'll be able to actually hear him now. Okay, so I'm just going to replay it because you may not be able to understood what he said before because that was terrible quality.
Proven, but that we're all rational to accept. Let me list 5. Logical and mathematical truths cannot be proven by science. Science presupposes logic and math, so that to try to prove them by science would be arguing in a circle. Metaphysical truths, like there are other minds other than my own, or that the external world is real, or that the past was not created 5 minutes ago with an appearance of age, are rational beliefs that cannot be scientifically proven. Ethical beliefs about statements of value are not accessible by the scientific method. You can't show by science whether the Nazi scientists in the camps did anything evil as opposed to the scientists in Western democracies. Aesthetic judgments, number 4, cannot be accessed by the scientific method because the beautiful, like the good, cannot be scientifically proven. And finally, most remarkably, would be science itself. Science cannot be justified by the scientific method. Science is permeated with unprovable assumptions. For example, in the special theory of relativity, the whole theory hinges on the assumption that the speed of light is constant in a one-way direction between any 2 points A and B. But that strictly cannot be proven. We simply have to assume that in order to hold to the theory.
But you're missing the whole... So put that in your pipe and smoke it.
Yeah, okay. Yeah. So we are... None of these beliefs can be scientifically proven, and yet they are accepted by all of us, and we're rational in doing so.
But what you have to accept is that science is a network of, it's a reticulation of ideas, that there's an interaction of ideas that come from a wide variety of sources, that in order to understand the very large, one has to, in fact, understand the very small. It's a network of ideas which, where they flow together, do not annihilate each other, but support each other. Science is, in a sense, a self-consistent way of looking at the world, and in that sense it gets its authority. I'd also disagree with, let me think of the point you made, with the possibility that it can elucidate aesthetics. I see no reason why it can't at least begin to show why we regard some sounds, some chords, if you like, as attractive, whereas dissonances are unattractive. I think it's quite possible for us to anatomize a picture. We can see why, say, the golden section is attractive in a sense. We might not be able to look at this stage in our understanding of aesthetics and say that the Mona Lisa is the most beautiful thing on earth. But at least we can begin to analyze our perception of beauty.
But
you will only get a full appreciation of the of aesthetics and religious belief and all that other stuff when one has a full understanding of consciousness, which is the most important, outstanding problem in current science.
Those are not, however, themselves aesthetic judgments that you're talking about. Those are judgments about why we perceive something to be beautiful and ugly. But that is not itself an aesthetic judgment. It's like the ethical.
I think it's quite possible to build a machine that decides whether a particular chord is pleasant or unpleasant.
But you'd have
that
to
is an
trust the
aesthetic.
machine.
No, you wouldn't. You'd have to train it, just as we are trained, just as we live up in a world full of Western music and a Japanese grows up in a world full of Eastern music.
Yeah,
so you actually change by a kind of neuronal network.
We're instructed by conventional arrangements.
Yeah, but aesthetics is largely convention. Just as ethics is largely convention.
Those are statements which are not scientific statements. Those are philosophical statements about these subjects, which cannot be justified scientifically.
But you can explore the origins of ethics. You can explore the evolutionary origins of ethics and see that they are conventions that have emerged under genetic control in part, but also by the application of our massive brains.
All right, there we go. Peter Atkins did respond to this. They made it like, put that in your pipe and smoke it, I think he said, the moderator. Yeah, he did explain it, that we can explain these things. We have explained a lot of these things. We will explain more things, and it's all because of the powerful thing between our ears, if we just use it, called our brains. And that includes explaining religion and everything else that he brought up. So I wanted to play that because I found it kind of dishonest the way he played that clip, right? It's kind of dishonest if you're going to show a clip from a debate and you only show one person saying something right off the bat, right?
Yeah.
So I went and looked, and I remember I'd seen this before, but I went and looked for this specific one. And again, I looked for some better audio. Todd, get some better audio video with your choosing your video clips, because that one you picked was terrible, or you recorded it through something. But I went and looked, and it wasn't a gotcha moment. He said that a lot of the things he named, like I say, you could make a machine that could listen to music and say, I like that music or I don't like that music, right? You could make a machine that says, I like this painting or I don't like this painting. And he said, yeah, well, it would depend on all the things, cultural influences and everything, which goes right back to, if the machine was known that you were in a Islamic culture or a Christian culture or anything else, its responses would be from that viewpoint, right? That's about it. As far as the gotcha to Peter Atkins, I like Peter Atkins. I think he has some of the best gotchas out there. He's a no-nonsense guy. And he finds, William Lane Craig's claims to be utterly ridiculous. And he's big on saying God did it is intellectual laziness. He's also said no real scientist believes in God. Okay, Peter Atkins takes no prisoners. Okay, and I'm a fan, and of course I know William Lane Craig. He's very popular. He's really good at what he does. I don't agree with his arguments, but he's really good at what he does. And to his credit, William Lane Craig is very educated in things, and he doesn't buck up against mainstream science. So, that being said, I don't agree with his argument. He's famous for the Kalam and Deconverted Man. If you're still out there, I know he's a big fan of the Kalam. A lot of us have already dismissed the Kalam as well. So, that's not going to work either, Todd. And that was the gist of the fourth movie, or fourth video. It feels like a movie. That's what that fourth video was. So we're going to call that 4 videos that we've gotten through here on Saturday Night at the Atheist. And it's all thanks to Bree and the James Apperson hanging out with us here till the end to make it happen. So thank you very much. Appreciate it.
Always fun. Yeah.
Always fun.
And any final remarks on Todd, Bree? No,
I think you've summed it up pretty much. It's just a whole lot of appeal to. I always hear Hume's in all the. I mean, because that's what it really comes down to is how could you really know anything though? Mm-hmm. If there's no God, how can you know that this is wrong or this is right? It's an appeal to emotion. Yeah, not convinced. James, passing you the ball.
Yeah, appreciate it. So Jackie pointed out if you think that your God fits inside a church, then he isn't big enough. Right? So their attempts to codify the parameters and the nature and everything else of God to flesh out the character of God makes God small. And they're welcome to it, but then don't claim that it's infinite. So I like that idea. And as far as all the other stuff, no, it's just another fundamentalist being a fundamentalist. It doesn't have to stand to reason, and it doesn't. And it doesn't surprise me at all that they don't respond to you, Dave, because they know they're in trouble if they do.
Yeah, they might get a video made about them.
Right. Yeah. There you go.
I did have one that responded to me in a comment, and it was another one of these atheists believe in something videos. And I think you underestimate me, this and that. I'd come on and everything, and I was like, okay, So sent an email, a couple back and forth, and said, all right, time zones and when's a good time, and then I got left hanging. So
yeah.
So I made the video. I was holding off making the video.
Yeah.
But then I made the video. I gave you a chance to come on, and I don't know, if you don't answer the email back, I'm not going to keep sending an email, like, hey, or something like that. I mean, you sent me, I gave you email, you answered, responded right back, and then when I said, well, come on, this is when we can do it, then I didn't hear back. So this is not the first time it's happened either.
Won't be the last.
Yeah, I'm a nice guy. I try to be a nice guy here. Even if we disagree, I'll be nice. Just like I am right now. Okay. And we gave AI a fair shot. I gave him airtime there, right? The panel went around, and we all, pretty much dismissed everything he said, and didn't really have much to say. AI's argument, in case you missed it, seemed to be we can't know everything for certain, so that means there's a God. And I don't know how that follows at all. I don't think that works in a syllogism or anything else, but we gave it a shot. We weren't convinced, but maybe next week.
Part of it
next week. Right?
Yeah, maybe next week. Part of his argument seemed to be that if you can't prove anything one way or the other, you might as well believe in a God. Might as well place your bet. Pascal's wager kind of a thing.
Right.
Right, but he's ignoring the fact that his God proposition is literally superstition, right? And you're not, the course of your life, your journey is not necessarily aided by superstition, right? Because life is already hard enough as it is without laboring under the monstrous shadow of terrible what ifs. Like, what if there's a God who might get angry if you don't randomly choose to believe there's a God, right? It's just superstition. It's just like, don't walk under a ladder, don't open an umbrella in the house, don't break a mirror, because you never know what might happen. And it's like, yeah, I'm just not interested in superstition. I don't think that it's a product of a healthy mind, and I don't think it's conducive to trying to be healthy in the world.
And Pascal's wager is kind of drawing a name out of a hat. And I always like to add that if you're drawing a name out of a hat, you could also have drawing out of their non-believer, right?
Yeah.
You've got the same chance of drawing that. So if, to me, Pascal's wager is kind of like, well, just pick a religion just in case, right?
Yeah.
So if you're just drawing from a hat, why can't you draw, right?
Or draw something innocuous like deism, right? Why do you have to go ahead?
Oh, no, you're right. Go ahead.
They always act like you're not paying a consequence to pick their religion, but you are, right? Their religion is incredibly expensive to land on or to pick or to be tricked into or whatever, because in the course of your life, it's going to weaponize you against humanity in ways that you're not aware of, and against your loved ones in ways that you're not aware of. It's going to discourage you from taking personal accountability for the way your preachments and attitudes and behaviors affect other people in the real world, because you're just going to keep saying, well, it's God's idea for me to say these things, right? And so, in the course of taking your money, taking your time, weaponizing you against innocent people, in the political arena and the social arena and in families, and just everything that it takes from us, it is an incredibly expensive proposition. And for them to act like it doesn't cost anything to be a Christian is for them to just blatantly lie on behalf of their conceptualization of a God. At the end of the day, Christianity is a psyop, grift, and it does hurt our world. And if that's not enough reason to think maybe we're better off without it, then I gotta think you don't have a conscience, right? This is what I keep telling people. Faith of that sort isn't a beautiful thing. It is the most ugly thing, and we need to be honest about what that is.
That's why we have no gods allowed.
No gods allowed
in my garden.
Love it.
And if you love the shirt I'm wearing, you can find a link in the description below for Breeze merch. Get yourself a shirt. I got the Bigfoot shirt.
True story.
Because I love the Bigfoots, right? Other folks have gotten the Mothman and the, what do you got else, Breeze?
The Jersey Devil.
Jersey Devil.
The Dogman. Nobody's ordered the Dogman yet, so if you're representing Michigan, order the Dogman shirt. Represent.
Ooh.
Represent. My favorite skinwalker is still Jesus.
There's a Christmas shirt for you, Bree. Skinwalker Jesus.
Skinwalker Jesus.
I'll buy one. I would do it.
And yeah,
that sounds like a kick-ass band name too.
Oh yeah, it does.
And when you're while you're down there, links for just for everybody's channels that been through here. I'll put James in there when I'm done here. Of course, if you want to go find James Apperson, you go to James Apperson. It's still James Apperson, right, James?
You know, it's also known as a persona non grata, but you know, you can look me up by my name, and it's
you're always welcome here. We all got those haters out there, and you know.
Yeah, I've stopped.
Who
letting
cares?
them yeah,
who cares? Yeah, you know,
Yeah,
you
absolutely.
can't please everybody. You just can't, no matter how hard you try. You know, a lot of us. You know, I try to be very nice. You know, Bree, Jane, we all try to be very nice, and we've all had, you know, problems with people and trolls and all this stuff, and it's like, you know, why? You know, we're just trying to have a good time here, right? We're not that evil or anything, you know.
Absolutely. So Kianara says that they think no gods allowed is contradictory as an atheist slogan. Seems to acknowledge that gods exist and they're simply not allowed. So, you know, it depends on how you define God. In reality, God is a complex viral mimetic that infects brains like a virus would infect an operating system and spreads between operating systems, corrupting their function and interrupting their interconnectivity. So in that sense, gods exist, and we would rather have a clean operating system. So there you go.
Yeah, I play around with it. Of course, it's not to be taken serious. I've got no gods allowed. I've got ones with the red circle, you know, that's on the gods. I've got a couple that say your gods must be on a leash. You know, it's just, and then some words AI just gives me problems with. It didn't like the word permitted. It kept putting a bunch of too many E's in it for some reason. But I was trying to get like, you know, a no permit sign, you know, but it didn't like spelling that word for me. But I was, you know, so I was just playing around with those different kind of signs, like what you would see, you know, somewhere, right? Just a simple sign, you know. And speaking of simple signs, there's one that I may be inspired by it. I have a sign by my pond, and happy pond season, by the way, everybody.
Woo!
Yeah, my pond is running. It's not officially open yet, but I've got it running. I still got the cover on it just in case.
Hearing any frogs yet?
No, but I today, though, I made sure to tie up the corner on the greenhouse so that if Frog comes, Frog can get in the greenhouse. So, Frog, if you're listening, come on up. I left the opening there because he always comes up through the back because there's a creek out back. So right there, I tied it up so there's about a good foot. Frog can get in and out. So hopefully I'll see Frog Buddy soon. And I keep hoping to get tadpoles. Maybe this will be the year. I don't know. We'll see.
Your fish might be eating them before they get big enough to do anything.
It could be. I haven't seen eggs or anything, and I haven't even seen 2 frogs, to be honest. Last year I only had 1 frog. The year before I had like 3. And I've also got a lot of toads, though, and I figured, well, maybe I'd get some toads, you know, but...
Yeah, toads have tadpoles, too. Yep.
Yeah, I haven't gotten any at all. So unless those dragonfly nymphs are eating them all, Bree.
No, that's one of their favorite foods, so...
Could be.
We had a video of that this morning, live from the hive.
Yep, and I'm there every Saturday. And Bree, go ahead and plug yourself before we get out of here with your different channels.
Well, if you want to see me plug myself, you need to go
to... Well, that's another channel. I know.
Yeah. But, yeah, my show's live from the hive. It's every Saturday morning. We usually spend a great deal of time debunking nonsense. Today we had... the cursed jewels, like the Hope Diamond and things like that. We looked at the folklore behind it, and then we talked about the green children of Woolpit, which was like a phenomenon from the 12th century. We debunk all this nonsense. Good example today with the green children. Yeah, the story involves them almost starving to death till someone offers them green beans. Well, guess what? No green beans in 12th or 13th century England. Nope, they were still in Central America. So that kind of stuff's easy to debunk. If you like seeing that kind of content, come over and join us on Life in the Hive every Saturday morning on Hive Side. And we do a Cryptic Corner episode every Friday night. And we do also have a Weird Wednesday video that we usually put up. So come hang out.
Awesome.
And you also have the transposition.
Oh, yes, the transpositions. Yes, actually, that's where I'm going from here. After, every Thursday night, transpositions, keeping, we're the only, as Ember says, the only transgender news channel in the galaxy run completely by trans people. So come check that out every Thursday night. And it's live. Me, Stephanie Helms, Ember Bellrat, and Carly Chardonnay Webb put that on. Ember's actually live right now today for Trans Day of Visibility, and I'm going to pop over there after I leave here. So if you want to come over and hang out, Ember, I'll be popping in there too. Yep.
And I know Bree needs some few hours over the transpositions. So
yes,
if you're hanging out on YouTube, pop one of their videos on, let it run. It would mean a lot to them over there. Get them. What do you get? Trying to get monetized and everything.
Yep.
And help them out. So yeah, go check out a video. Even if you're busy or whatever, just let the video play. It'll help them out a lot. Okay. But try to watch it. Try to watch it. And James, we know what James does. James does the James Apperson thing, where he often reviews his own blogs on his channel. You got anything coming up, James?
Oh, I don't know. There's all kinds of things in my mind. I'm just an old white guy that shakes his fists at clouds and invites you to come along for the journey.
It's not usually scheduled. James usually just pops on. So yeah, watch for him when he's on. It's always good stuff.
Thanks. All right, been fun.
And with that, Todd, sorry, you joined the ranks with many others here at the Saturday Night at the Atheist that we gave a shot. And Todd, you got like 4 videos to try and convince us about this supernatural atheist stuff and all the straw men that we're giving. And it seemed like you don't know what a straw man is, Todd. So, of course, you're welcome to get hold of us, and we'll talk about it and maybe explain it to you that we think you don't know what a what a straw man is.
You don't think he does yet have a clue. And real quick, Keon Aras, Einstein was not a theist. He said repeatedly that he thought the idea of a personal God was childish nonsense, and that he really wished Christians would quit claiming that he thinks things he doesn't think. When he used the word God, it's not at all what he meant, right? He was more like a pantheist. He was talking about Spinoza's concepts, which is not at all a personal God with the political ambitions and opinions about what you do with your genitals. Like, none of that shit. None of that. So
stop doing that.
Stop doing that.
And with that, I see Tilting Windmill, hello. And Cayenne, however it is. Thanks for joining. And Sumami, good to see you as always. And everybody else joining. We had Mike said there was over 700 chats going on. So appreciate all the interaction in the chat. Much appreciated. It's good for all them algorithm things and everything. So, and this goes for anybody's channels. When you're there, hit the like, share it if you liked it. Any of those things helps us all out, and we appreciate it a lot. And again, go down below, subscribe to my channel, hit the bell so you know when we're on. Check out the other links in the description. And before we go, I'm going to play the commercial here one more time for everybody. right. Make sure you check out Joe on the 19th at 7 p.m. Eastern. Help out over there if you can. Be much appreciated. Chris Moore, how you doing? Good to see you as well. And with that, we're out of here until next Saturday, and who knows what we'll find. Maybe next Saturday will be the week where we'll find somebody that will tell us what an atheist is and have it right. Because so far they haven't done it.
Right.
And with that, good evening, everybody. Good morning, good day, wherever you're at. And we'll see you next time.
See you next time.
Bye.
Without a sound, history speaks in tales of lore, knocking at the captive desk's door. Oh, legends live within these walls, silent echoes in the halls, books and stories on the floor, knocking at the captive desk's door. Oh, captive desk. Hold our dreams where reality no myth seems. In conversations quiet flow, the mysteries untold will know. Legends live within these walls, silent echoes in the halls, books and stories on the floor, knocking at the captive text. Nerves are wide, hearts are keen, pages turn to secret scene, ancient maps and hidden lore, knocking at the captive text door. Oh, captive desk, hold our dreams where reality no myth seems. In conversations quiet flow, the mysteries untold.